if I do.
Covino and Rich.
Are you ready?
Honestly, how do I deal with you every day?
Get ready.
Turn on Dollar on the radio.
Get ready.
Whoa! Yeah!
Holy mother nugget! And holy mother meatball!
I'm the smartest man alive! You're so ridiculous. What? You're such a fool. Get out of here.
No, I'm a disc jockey.
What's a disc jockey?
Turn it up. We're doing the show.
Here we go. Covino and Rich.
Let's go!
All right, here we go. Another show.
Gonna kick off my morning with a sip of Joe with you guys.
Joe Theismann?
Joe Buck.
That's out of here.
Joe Mama. Thank you guys. All right. So welcome to our Patreon sports, entertainment, and life. Major brain fog. My lame ass road to recovery. Again, I'm Steve Covino. That is Rich Davis. Spot us here. Thank you guys for putting up with us. Let's be rocking out.
Oh, my God.
Adios mio.
You know when you lost your confidence and you can't even look anybody in the eye? That's how I feel doing
Look
this show
at
right
me.
now. Yeah, it's like,
Present.
thank you guys.
Who was in your homeroom
For-
again? Who was that?
Let's do this.
Oh, let's do this. Yeah, that's right. He was after you. Covino. Yeah. Do this. Lester. Looking refreshed, Covino. That's a good sign. That's from Kinky Blender.
Looking refreshed. It's part of the upkeep of not doing anything for 2 weeks. I mean, I can only look a little better.
Look at that. Covino looks like Covino took a shower. Looking good, Cove. That's from Steve. You shaved.
Well, I did do that. I dyed my hair. I cut my toenails. I did all the low maintenance sort of things that I needed to have done weeks ago, but I haven't because I was in the hospital and recovering. So yeah, I did the absolute basics of shaving. I dyed my hair. I kind of combed it. Not this morning really. But I woke up at least and then matted it down a little bit.
Are you feeling good enough?
Cut my toenails, cut my fingernails, tweeze my eyebrows, maybe just a tiny bit or something.
I
don't know.
get you, man.
Just
The maintenance. I did the maintenance just the other day. I have two things on my maintenance to-do list, and it's
Bleach your butthole.
bleach my butthole. That's number one.
It's always number one.
It's little beard touch-up and something I do every 2 months.
You guys are old.
I need Sarah to get the Michael Stray hairs off my lower back. What do you call that? Your dad had the lower back patch of hair.
His rough patch. He never got past it.
What does she do? Should she wax it?
No, I go in the shower and she just uses the buzzer so the hair doesn't go everywhere. I have I'm not very hairy. I mean, if I turned around right now and picked up my shirt, you wouldn't even see it. But it's like, you don't want stray hairs on your lower back.
It's just amazing how fast a week and a half to 2 weeks of neglect can go and cause some serious, well, not serious damage, but damage to your overall appearance.
Oh, yeah.
I had to, trim the huevos, trim my nipple hair. It's like, Jesus, how long was I out of the game? So after the show yesterday, you mope around and you just feel like shit. You're just trying to do anything to, for every nipple hair that I trimmed, I felt a little better yesterday. So
the maintenance you speak of, I think most guys know what you're talking about. There's some guys like Spot and Ian Kennedy that are like, well, trim up and clean yourself. What do you mean? But
it shows.
To me,
not on Spot. I'm just saying on people like that.
To me, the process you speak of is, all right, let's make sure there's no random stray eyebrows, right? Tweeze those random strays.
We're talking the bare minimums here, man.
No,
That's really what it is.
I'm not talking go to a spa and get a fucking waxing or a threading. I'm saying look for the strays, and
trim
then
your nose hair.
Then I'd use the little buzzer thing and little scissors, and I blow my nose and I marvel at how many little hairs I just fucking cut.
Trim your sideburns, shape them up a little bit. Trim the back of your neck. Just the maintenance, man. It's the least you could do to feel better about yourself, especially when you're, like I said, on the road to recovery, or you're trying to look good for your significant other, or I don't know, your employer, and trying to present in a nice way.
Yeah.
So
no, there's
it's just
Mauser,
part of the feeling, the mental mind gymnastics of trying to feel a little better. That's all.
I shaved off most of my beard when I was sick because it was just like, it was itchy. Even though I was showering every day, I was like, it's just bothering me. And I just shaved it off.
Mauser said that should be part of the wedding vows. The Sarah helps me maintain a few things. Every so often, I'll be like, Sarah!
Do you ever?
Sarah! No, I don't want her to think I'm calling her now.
Do you ever make her, when she stops at the waist, or you're like, keep going, and you make her shave your ass?
No. Because I don't have hair on my ass. I just have that.
You said that you trim your ass hairs with the scissors.
I by my fucking bunghole,
Yeah,
by my
why
balloon knot.
why can't Sarah do that? She's got a good view of it.
Well,
Better view than you.
every so often I'll say, Sarah! And she'll be like, what, babe? What do you need? And I hand her the tweezers, and I'm like, check my ears. Because I get the ones that I could see, but once in a while she'll be like, ooh, you got one in there. And she'll do it like, yeah.
You know, I agree with Lisa Peragio. Rich looks like he shoves his nose hair trimmer way up his nose violently. Like, I imagine that. Like, you're so
and up his ass.
You're so against
Never thought of
body
that.
hair
Never thought of that.
you're so violently shaving your body. That's how I feel.
No, I like to keep a little bit on the chest, a little bit in the armpits, like a man, but I don't want to be a fucking warlock. Like you take pride in the fact that you have hair on your shoulders, probably. Like if you have a stray hair on your shoulder, you'd be like, oh, I'll keep it. I'd be like, fucking stray hair.
You pluck your shoulder hairs?
If I had a random, I would fucking pull out that bad boy. You'd be like, oh, I got a shoulder hair. That's the difference
And
between
to be
me
honest,
and you.
Just to show you what a sad state of affairs I'm still in, like just bending over and cutting my toenails and just doing all this low maintenance stuff yesterday got me all exhausted and out of sorts. Like put me out of breath yesterday just doing that stuff. So, just part of the deal, part of the routine, part of getting back into the flow.
By the way,
and if you missed yesterday's show, we were live. So catch it on our Patreon, and thanks for all the feedback. I mean, the nonstop feedback.
I love it.
Can we just agree that when it comes to being a man, that it should lie somewhere in between you and I?
No, I think it should lie where I'm at, in between some guy that's waxing his bunghole and you who doesn't do a thing.
You mean?
I'm
not going to say anything negative.
Like,
say, what, a gay man?
No, in between you and Archie. Archie who fucking
Archie
shaves his
is
leg.
a gay man.
Yeah.
Who has penises inside his butthole. Do you have penises inside your butthole?
No, but there is a...
Is that what you're preparing it for?
There is a maintenance.
Penises? You don't know that.
There's a maintenance that... Yeah, you
true.
don't know if Archie's a power top.
He swaps. I asked him once.
Okay. Well, you don't know, but I'm just saying the nice balance. And by the way, I love bringing this up because it's a great test. By reading the feedback, I see who the warlocks are out there.
Hey, Spot, send me the link for the feedback. Thanks.
I did.
Okay.
Did I send it to
Who's the warlocks, Rich? Let's call them out.
No, I haven't seen any yet.
You
But
know what? I sent it to myself. Sorry. Let me send it to you. I sent it to it went to the wrong address.
It's all good.
So I splash it on. It makes me smell meanly. I know, Renee.
You'll see when I sent it. When I
picture Spot shower drain looking fucking disgusting with curly hairs. I agree, Mike. Let's see. Archie is a level 5 power top. Sarah does the maintenance. I do most of the cleaning around the house. That's a misconception. People think like, what is? I'm an OCD
by the way, I've
clean
seen
type of
Mauser's
guy.
hairline. I'm sure his drain is clogged too.
Oh snap! But Cove, don't you agree that all the things I'm talking about are not quote old school 2000s metrosexual? They are normal maintenance things. You just said it. I'm gonna list the guy maintenance, and then we could move on to all the fucking hard hitting, annoying COVID. Life, astro world, terrible things going on in the world. I'd rather talk about butthole hairs, to be honest.
It's all the bare minimum that slips to the wayside.
Dude,
if you're sick for a few days, man, honestly, this is just 2 weeks of catch up that I tried to fit in yesterday. So it's really the bare minimum.
I'm offended that you think that I don't take care of myself.
I don't think you're
because
some smelly,
I do.
unmaintained guy. I just think that you're...
I keep my beard trim. I just trimmed it. I actually just did a little trimming of my chest hair because I feel like it was a little scraggly.
Okay, now you're talking.
And obviously the pubic region always gets trimmed. I take a buzzer to my eyebrows when they get too long. And
Yo, by the way, I sent you a video yesterday, Covino, just to show you.
God help me if the guide is not on properly and I just go.
Just to show you how this show sort of writes itself. Look at our group text yesterday. I sent you a TikTok video, and I'm not convinced this is real. It's an old guy getting his eyebrows trimmed at a barbershop.
Is it Martin Scorsese?
Yo, look at the video I sent you and Covino on the group chat, and you'll be amazed at how some people...
Well, is that the goal? That's the thing. It's like, is that what we're shooting for? So aren't we trying to maintain?
Well,
aren't we trying to keep some sort of level of, I don't even want to say professionalism, like human decency, just to look your best, even when you're feeling your worst? It's a little smoke and mirrors, because if you feel good, or if you look good, you'll feel a little better, just a little better. I tell my parents that all the time. They complain about how they feel, and it's like, they mope around looking like ass. It's like you gotta or try to keep your game up. I understand it gets harder as you get older, but what's that saying by Jerry Rice, Rich?
Oh, look good and you play good. Oh, but Spot, it's the last thing that's on our group chat.
Oh,
the last
thing.
The show group chat. Okay.
Yeah, you look good. You play good. Jerry Rice made sure his towel was lined up. His uniform was tight. The fade was good. But before we wrap up this whole maintenance thing, which, by the way, is probably more fun to talk about, like I said, than what? Aaron Rodgers, Astro World, fucking people dying, like terrible things.
There's no way you could be your absolute best. None. If you feel like you look like shit. No way.
No way.
There's no way.
I want to know how you would feel if you had this guy's eyebrows. Have you seen this? This fucking guy.
You don't need the sound. Very loud.
No, yeah, I don't want
loud.
To get flagged for no reason, but this guy's eyebrows are something to marvel at. Imagine if your brows were like
He's
that.
definitely Russian.
He's like a fucking...
His name's definitely Boris.
My name is Boris. Trim up. Can I trim up your brows? Go for it.
Trim my brows.
And by the way, that doesn't mean you need to be obsessive and crazy about it and put all your efforts, like Alex, into, looking 100% all the time. No one is going to be comfortable living that life. It's okay to, schlub around. I mean, look at me. I'm wearing a free T-shirt from Mike Durban Productions, from the Mike Durban show. I mean, we're talking absolute bare minimum to just feel like you're living a decent life. That's all. You don't have to go all out all the time and look like you're hitting the runway.
I'm just saying that there are days where you do what Covino did yesterday, which usually results in you feeling better. You clip your fingernails, your toenails, you trim up your beard line, you make sure you have no stray brow, you make sure you have no hair sticking out of your ears or nose, you fucking shave your balls. If you have any stray body hairs, you tell your wife, like, hey, take a look. You have any random
I'm telling
hairs?
you where people fail, Rich, around the ear and the sideburn. You gotta trim that up, and and your neck, the back of your neck. People always fail. They don't trim the back of their neck.
They get wolf neck, and
wolf necks is no bueno.
And I'm telling you, every month or so, because again, I'm not a hairy guy, but the lower back, as you called it and phrased it, the rough patch. Right above your ass, if you have one too many stray hairs.
Is it a patch, or is it because like stray hairs are different? I have a patch. It's like furry. Oh yeah, it's furry. So you have a furry patch. You don't have stray hairs. You have a furry patch. It's a little furry patch.
Yeah, I mean,
that was my fear growing up. If you remember the story, my dad always had that. I'm like, is this what my future holds in store for me? Because I want none of that.
Yeah, I have no hair on my back or shoulders, but right there, right above my ass.
Why is that? I have a question. Why is that so offensive?
Because it looks better without, Spot. It's.
But to who?
I don't know. To women, to me, to anyone.
Women?
I mean,
multiple women. Who are you showing your little ass?
You think when you go to the beach or when you go away or
you go to the beach? You went to the beach once this year.
You don't want to look good for yourself.
That's
so weird.
It's a big buffoona.
To yourself? What are you standing in the mirror checking out your ass all day long?
No, but I don't understand how you don't understand feeling good about yourself makes you feel good.
Who you're showing this off to?
Yeah, guess what? There are days where I don't see any human beings, but that doesn't mean I don't comb my hair. There are days
looking at your ass hair.
Yeah, but you're the difference. There are days when you don't see people, so you're like, fuck it, I don't comb my hair. I comb my hair every day because I just want to feel good for myself. It's like the people that work from home, like, well, I work from home now. No need to get dressed. Fucking
Rich got the Andy Grammer going on. You look like Andy Grammer. Your hair.
Or does Andy Grammer look like me?
It's like you're cut from the same exact cloth. I saw him on Bachelorette last night. I'm like, there's Rich on TV singing.
By the way, is it true that
Rich is very Andy Grammer.
Is it true that
He's
people
so
were
Andy Grammer.
Is it true that people were
I got the same
amazed that I didn't have an arrow down tattoo on my back now? That's
Well,
Sarah.
again, let's keep this in mind. This is predominantly guy talk, radio, podcast, Covino and Rich about life and
It's got a little
observations.
bit more of a pomp.
You know, what we're talking here is not like overboard. This is like the very least you could do
You're so
to
Andy Grammer.
maintain
Yeah,
again,
he's a
some
little
sort of
Neanderthal.
semblance of who you are and what you're supposed to be.
He's a little
as a person.
Neanderthal.
That's all. So I don't want everyone thinking, oh, look at these girly guys talking about their high maintenance lifestyles. You know, just because you wash your face with lava soap doesn't mean that's the way to go. There's a balance, and you're just trying to maintain your overall appearance as little as you possibly can.
What about
And the
Gurmeet?
reason it even came up is because, well, yesterday I came back disheveled with a gray beard. I look like old man Winter. And yesterday I did a little tiny bit of catching up. And I think everybody should do that like every week and a half or so. I was about a week behind. It's really the least you could do as a human.
Gurmeet said, Spot clearly is trying to get under my skin because there's no way he doesn't believe this.
That what? That
By the way,
you
did
don't,
we just have two
that you-
Rich Davises on
that
screen
you
right now?
don't think you look like Andy Grammer? I cannot believe that.
No, I feel like I resemble him, but he's very. Look at his nose and forehead. He's look at me.
Same cloth though. Same cloth.
Yeah, we're cut
You're
from the same.
more
We're
handsome, but
definitely
same
cut. We're
head.
definitely cut from the same cloth. But he's a little.
You're the same
You
exact
think
guy.
my nose looks nothing like
Same
that? He's
head.
got a big ass nose.
It's a little wider. Yeah.
I mean,
you have the
no,
same
you're-
jowls.
We have a very we have a
same
similar
eyebrows.
look.
Same brow.
We
You have the same brow.
Yeah, but a big part of what makes
same
people look
chin.
what a lot of what makes people look alike are their eyes and nose, and those are the two things him and I are very different. So
Well, you know why? Because everybody has eyes and nose. I mean, how different could we really all look? I
no,
mean,
but I'm saying
everybody-
those are.
I gotta put up a side by side.
same guy.
I mean, I don't mind Andy. He's a great guy. In fact, I butt dial him once in a while by mistake because he's the first person in my phone.
No, I
With
think
your
your butt.
dick.
I think your butt just is actually
My butt is
consciously
actually dialing him.
him.
Yeah, he's the first contact in my phone, and that's always that's always the person that accidentally gets butt dialed. I always have to be like, "Yo, dude, my bad." Butt
Let's just say,
dialed
oh, baby, no, baby. You got me all wrong,
you."
baby.
baby. Yeah,
You're the exact same guy.
Same guy. I
mean,
picked it
hey,
up last night.
hey, I
and
mean,
then I had
He's
all these
handsome.
thoughts
Just own
about the
it.
same people in my slumber. When I was falling asleep, I was thinking about all the people that I think are cut from the same cloth. And Rich and Andy Grammer is definitely one of them.
You know,
I am
the fun
looking
fact?
at the same guy right now.
You know the fun fact about Andy Grammer, Covino,
Hold on.
is that
I'm just gonna put him in
put
the
him
middle.
right there.
I'm just gonna put him in the middle of the screen.
the fun part about Andy Grammer is he has a French bulldog and my kid's age. Like we actually are living. He's living like the higher profile life than me, but the same one. Look at Andy Grammer's like his life, and he's got little kids and a French bulldog that looks exactly like Piper.
And the same hairdo.
And the same hairdo.
Same hairdo, which inspires me to like, I want to do something. Like when you recover, when you're on the road to recovery, Rich.
Yeah.
Steve Covino's Road to Recovery.
Thank you,
We get that
Lynn.
sponsored. You have like some sort of weird epiphanies. First of all, the brain fog spot. I can't tell you how like
I
I have all
it's
these
so
odd
hard to describe.
equations that don't add up right in my brain. Like these thoughts are coming from nowhere. They make no sense. I fixate on stupid thoughts that really mean nothing, and they amount to nothing. And I'm fixated on them because I'm in this like state of mind that makes no sense. But then I also feel like I need a major change, and it starts with the hair. And like, do you really want Andy Grammer hair? Because I don't.
No, here's a good one.
By the way, when I trimmed my chest the other day,
yeah, you felt good about
like
it.
I did because I felt cleaner. But my wife looked at me. She's like, "Why did you do that?" She was offended that I trimmed down my chest. She's like, "Why would you trim your chest hair?" Like I felt a little, over.
I think
I
you're
know.
right.
I think you're not a Sasquatch. You're
I
a
think
human
your
being.
I think your wife is in the minority. Spot. I got to be honest. I think your wife's in the minority that
she
doesn't
loves
want
me for all that I am,
Well,
just as I am. She loves me just as I am, like Bridget Jones.
But then where does it keep going, Spy, if there's no maintenance? Like you just gonna wake up and be a fucking bear one day?
Well, my chest hair doesn't keep growing. Your body hair doesn't keep growing except for your pubes and your top of your head
Tell the guy with the eyebrows that we just saw.
and your eyebrows, and your beard. But like your body hair is not like just constantly growing out for some reason. I don't know what's the science behind that. Somebody.
Andy Grammer's head keeps growing.
Let me go to face. Rich, you should know. You know all about facts about the body.
Yeah.
Why does your body hair not grow?
Oh, much like your eyeballs. No, I don't fucking know a thing. By the way, Andy Grammer, someone made a good point. They said Andy Grammer sort of looks like if me and Handsome Gabe had a kid. Because there is Handsome Gabe.
Dare you drag Gabe down with
There's
you.
Handsome Gabe in him too. I think the parts of him, Andy Grammer, that do not look like me look like Handsome Gabe. So it's actually a fair assessment.
I don't see it. I see
Like
all
his neck and his head
I see
shape
lots
and
of
everything.
people cut from the same cloth because my brain is functioning in an odd way. Like I had you know who I think are the same people in my
God, this
dream
is blowing
state,
my
thinking
mind.
of you and Andy Grammer.
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah, Rich and Jason Kennedy, same fucking goofy guy.
Look, you're the same.
That's like me saying you're like every Hispanic guy. He's a white guy that I look nothing like.
Yeah,
you're
same
like-
cloth.
you're-
Same cloth. If they wanted to replace you,
You're merging
Our
and it's blowing my
consultants in
mind.
the sports world. Consultants in the sports world always say how it makes absolutely no sense to cast Phil Simms and Boomer Esiason on the same set. Same guy. The public sees them as the same guy. It's a waste. SiriusXM is booking an event. Even though we look nothing alike, there's something about it that makes no sense. SiriusXM is booking me and Jose Mangan on the same day at an event. It's like, to the general public, we're two Mexican guys who like rock music.
Yeah, no,
It makes-
they were Covino and I are hosting some stuff out here at LA, and the way they separated it was me and Rachel Steele again from one of the rock channels are one
was
weekend,
great.
and I think Covino and Jose are the other weekend. And I'm not going to stop them because that schedule I think works out best for everyone. But the reality is, it's right. Covino and Jose hosting the same event would be like, hey, let's do a panel with Phil Simms and Boomer Esiason. You're right.
Yeah, it's like two passionate Hispanic guys. I mean, I'm not saying we look exactly alike, but it's like switch it up a little bit.
You will never
And
rock out as hard as Jose Mangan. Sorry.
I'm not trying to.
You never will.
I'm
You never
not
will.
trying to, not even a little bit. I'm
You
saying
can-
to the general public, you know, it's like you might as well book the same guy twice. It makes no sense. I think Katie Seagal and Allison Janney are the same person.
Could call, especially now as they got older. It's definitely
Right. Why would you ever book them on the same thing?
There's a guy on Morning Show, which by the way I'm caught up on. That show is fucking insane.
Of course, Matthew McConaughey and Josh Lucas. Like these are all counterproductive, maybe low budget versions of another person, but you know, all cut from the same cloth. I had so many examples of them last night while I was trying to fall asleep. Again, they amount to nothing.
Your brain
but
fucked.
when you're thinking about people hiring for certain events and things like that, and things we see on TV, it's like a lot of these characters that we watch all day are just mixed matched versions of the same guy. And this thought started when I saw Andy Grammer singing last night. And I thought it was Rich.
Hey, Spot, look up from the Morning Show on Apple TV, which is fantastic. So good. One of my favorite characters, Chip Black. Look up Chip. He's the Morning Show producer. He's like a frantic guy, but anyone that watches
I
the
know
Morning
this
Show
guy.
knows that Chip Black, it's fucking Jason Bateman, but they couldn't get Jason Bateman. This guy is Bateman. His whole vibe, his cadence, everything. This guy is the Wish version of Jason Bateman.
This guy.
Covino, just by looking at his face, you could tell his presentation's like, all right, we got to do the morning show. We got to do this. Like he's Bateman, essentially.
Maybe character wise, you know, but
cut from the same cloth.
He doesn't
cut
look-
from the same cloth. So, you know, to tie the conversations together, when you start feeling like so many people are cut from the same cloth, you want to do whatever you can to separate yourself a little bit. And that's why I think the maintenance and maybe a hairdo switch up is necessary every once in a while, man. And I know we as men have only so much range because most of us hetero and we're not really even that good at that stuff. But, you know, it's like when you come out of this fog, you want to do something different, man. And I'm sure that's part of the inspiration why Spot was like, I mean, health is a priority, of course, but when he did his recovery from his very, very serious heart surgery, he's like, fuck that, man. I'm sick of being Ben Napier from Hometown on HGTV. You know, I want to look different. I want to feel better. I want to change things up a little bit because there's so many people
Ben Napier's
out there
sliding it,
that
though.
you might as well be because they're just one big carbon copy of the next idiot to the general public.
Like, I'll admit, I look exactly like Ben Napier from Hometown.
You do. He just said that.
Exactly. No, he said I didn't want to be him.
Yeah, but
I look just like him.
I don't usually watch that show often, but I texted you a picture, not saying like, Spot, you look just like him. I'm just so amazed how your beard color, how Spot's like got the reddish beard with the brown hair. Ben Napier has like, it's almost like he went to Home Depot or Lowe's and had the same paint swabs like made for his hair and beard.
The dark hair, red beard is a very common like genetic thing.
Yeah, but you guys are cut from the same vibe though.
We're the same exact guy.
And by the way, it's
me and Kristen.
Yeah, look at Spot.
By the way,
Spot
Kristen
was
comes up to that exact point on my body.
So funny, man, how similar you guys look. And that's why I could switch up and why maintenance is like necessary. You start turning even more and more into that guy. But like you don't see the formulas on TV that I see, and it's like I guess Adam Schefter's Jay Glazer on a different network. You know, Booger McFarland is Kurt Menefee. Like I mean, like it's just the same fucking formula all the time, and we eat it up and don't even pay any mind to the fact that they just keep shoving the same type of characters down our throat on television.
Yeah.
It's like, it's pathetic. It's like, all right, we got the blonde host. We got fucking Boomer Esiason's old ass. We got Phil Simms. We got a black dude and a short white guy. It's the same fucking thing on every network. It's like, how are we eating this up and how are we okay with it? They just keep filling us with the same carbon copy cutouts of the same bullshit.
You could argue those represent different types of people, so that equation works.
Give me two black bald guys who were former athletes. There you go, and then say, "Come on, man," and give me some former players with a suit and sneakers on. It's the same shit on every network.
Are you saying that Skip and Shannon are no different than Stephen A. and Max?
I get it. Formulas work.
Yeah,
but how are we still consuming this shit, and how are we okay with it? It's garbage. It's straight up garbage. Garbage. I sit here, and again, I have an overwhelming sense. I'm seeing through a very, I don't want to say negative lens that we established yesterday.
You're seeing through poop-colored glasses.
I'm seeing through poop-colored glasses, and you know, I'm also seeing very clear, like, what a bunch of shit they're shoveling down our throats all the time in the world of broadcasting, sports, television. I'm watching hoarders on TV. I'm like, hoarders? This is dishoarders. These are people really terrible mental issues. The only reason I'm watching it is to feel better about my life. And the shit that we're consuming, man, is just absolute trash. And it's hitting the lowest common denominator, and we feed into it. We're the only ones to blame. If you put on any sport, and I'm focusing on sports because that's what we watch the most. If you focus on sports, man, it's the same horseshit, slightly different characters.
I can't argue that.
All the same.
It's
all the same.
Very similar.
All the same. So separate yourself. That's how I feel after all this.
Separate yourself.
There's a way.
And trim your fucking random body hair. That's the lesson to be learned today.
Go platinum. I'm dyeing my hair platinum.
I told you, like the fucking Asian dude on Squid Game at the end, just dye your hair red. Just fucking.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
I'm gonna do that. Take a weird chance.
That's what happens after traumatizing experiences.
Yeah.
Squid Games guy fucking went through all this trauma, comes back and he has red hair like Rihanna at the end of the show. So yeah, there's something that happens. And again, I had COVID and pneumonia. Big fucking whoopity doo. I'm just telling you that. I think the medicine's gotten me fucked up, and it's got me seeing all these things that, like, I just can't believe we're okay with as a society, the things that we consume our minds with. And, I'm happy to be a part of that in your lives, guys. Believe me, I am. I don't know what I would do without it. But when I see the amount of shit that people shovel down our throats, and they're making lots of money off of it, and most of Americans are just trying to get by, it's really disgusting. It really is.
Joe Rogan and Dana White are the same person.
Same head.
Same thing.
Same head.
I think one of my female friends thought they were the same person. And I was like, I could see where someone would think that. I think my friend Christina was like, Joe Rogan, that's the guy that owns the UFC. I'm like, no, that's not Joe Rogan. And I'm like, wait a minute. I could see where she would think Dana White and Joe Rogan are the same guy, right? Obnoxious, bald guy that's, influential. Honestly, if you had no clue about either one, wouldn't you have a sense that, oh yeah, I could see where someone could think Dana White and Joe Rogan are the same person?
If you're a casual television viewer,
If you're a
you
woman
don't know
that
a
never
whole lot.
watches fights.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see you not caring. I believe Janelle, who worked in sports, our friend and former co-host, just realized that, and she worked in sports for years. So yeah, I guess you could confuse the two. Carbon copies, we eat it up. We say we want diversity and different things, but we don't. We want the same stupid shit.
We want diversity. We just want the same versions of that. Like, hey, let's get the same sassy black guy for 10 different shows. Oh, we want the funny Hispanic neighbor. Get him on every show. We want we want and get diversity. It's just always the same type of person.
By the way, I'm not getting on a soapbox here, Rich. I'm slowly getting warmed up and getting my feelings out. But one thing I cannot stand, man, and the world needs diversity. I grew up a kid not seeing a whole lot of people that look like me on television. Let's make that very clear. The closest thing that I saw to me on TV was Ernie Reyes Jr. in Sidekicks.
I would say Tattoo on Fantasy Island.
Tattoo. So, don't get it twisted, but nothing irks me more than the levels of forced diversity that we see on TV. And I understand you need to force things to create significant change, but it is so abundantly, obviously forced and almost gross. It's like, whose wool are you pulling over whose eyes? It's like, does everybody see this? Because if you don't, you're blind. It's ridiculous. The levels of forced diversity. I watched a commercial yesterday, right? And it's a Gain commercial. And I'm like, do white people clean their clothes anymore? I don't think they do.
I'm sorry, what?
There's not one white person in the entire commercial.
No, I don't. I don't clean my clothes.
To sort of wrap up what you're saying, I'm not sure where I lie on this because
this hoodie hasn't been washed in 3 years.
Well, we're a little all over the place. I'm telling you, my observations about
through your poop colored glasses,
carbon copies, and what the media is just pushing at us left and right and left and right. And when you're sitting there in a hospital for 2 weeks, you can't help
to make things seem inclusive. Sometimes make me say, it's a little eye rolly. Sometimes when someone tries to do something, hold on, let me finish.
As a white person, that everybody doesn't feel that way.
Let me finish. What I'm saying is, the intention is good, but when you try to make the intention so your mind and your intention is in the right place, but the result, whether it be a commercial or a show, is so eye-rollingly obvious. Like there's not a guy in a movie or a TV show now. There's not a white guy that's best friend is another white guy. His best friend's always a black dude, a Hispanic guy, a gay guy, someone like the idea of having two people cut from the same cloth. Like there could be a detergent commercial and it's a black husband that comes home to his Asian wife and they adopted a white kid.
Well, it goes back to that formula I was talking about before. It's like every broadcast you see has to have the blonde lady with the fucking bald former athlete black guy with the short white dude. And, it's the same fucking thing all the time because of this forced diversity. And it's like, how are we okay with that? As a half-breed minority myself, I'm okay with it. I understand change needs to happen. But how is the rest of the world okay with it? You're so not represented anymore. And guess what happens? You're losing your jobs. But it's true. It is. I know it sounds funny, but it's true.
I'm not. I don't care.
Craig Robinson is doing more fucking ads than anyone else. You know why? Because they're just mixing it up. I see him on Gain commercials, pizza commercials.
I'm not. This is not something I think about much at all. Every time I see a commercial, I will laugh at their attempt to be really inclusive and loving. Let's say there's a commercial for, I don't know, you name it, fucking Eggo waffles.
White people don't eat Eggos.
No, they
just
do.
Asians and Hispanics.
They
and
do,
people.
but not with other white people. If a white guy's having an Eggo waffle, it's with his Asian wife and Dominican adopted kid. And I get the good intention. I really do. I get the good intention.
No,
but
the obvious, and we have to state it for the sake of conversation, is that's because whites have dominated television and marketing and, what we view as consumers for the majority of time. I get it. So change needs to happen, but it's at the point of Oh my God.
I love it.
It's straight up ridiculous where I think people are even scared to talk about it.
Well, Jason Brown, as predicted, Spock, can you scroll up just a little bit? He said, what you're saying is we need to go back to all white people in commercials? No. That's not what Covino's saying at all. It's saying if there's a commercial for...
That's silly. That's silliness because it's not even accurate, bro. It's it's the opposite of accurate.
What Covino's saying is if there's
to happen to implement change, but it's laughable.
If there's
how do you not see it's laughable?
If there's a CVS commercial and there's a family at a drugstore, what Covino's saying is the family will never be like black husband, black wife, black kid. It'll be always a little of everyone, which is sort of funny because while
it doesn't bother him because it's good for him. And it's good for other minorities, but it's about as inaccurate as you could possibly be.
In a lot of parts of the country.
Looks.
In a lot of parts of the country, yes, for sure. I agree. Like you look at any show and even on that new show, have you been watching at all? I checked out the first few episodes. It's actually pretty cute. The new Wonder Years.
It reeks of ass kissery too. It really does.
The Wonder Years. I mean, have you seen the new Wonder Years? The Don Cheadle one?
How is it?
I haven't seen it, but it looks cool. I like it. I like the premise.
It's I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, and it's likable. I may end up binging it one day if I need something for a flight. Like it's an easy to watch sitcom. Nothing groundbreaking, but not bad at all. It's actually pretty good. But even in that show, the show's based on a black family. The kid's friend is like the corny, cheesy, nerdy white guy. Like it's a... What you're saying is everything so...
Jason Brown is like the only guy that doesn't get it. It doesn't bother you. It's inaccurate and it's insulting to your intelligence. How do you not see that?
It doesn't bother anyone. It's almost funny in that
it's forced. How does feeling something forced not bother you? Like I said, I watched so many commercials in the past few weeks. It's almost they exclude white people. I don't give a fuck about white people. I'm just telling you what I see.
Yeah, it's not Jason.
Let me tell you, watch Yellowstone. All the commercials are like Tractor Supplies and Ram trucks. Didn't see one person of color.
So it depends on what you watch, right?
So maybe we still need to work. Maybe we still need to work on that correction.
It's like how is it okay on the flip side if we're trying to be diverse and equal and everybody is cool? It's like on the flip side you can exclude white people. That makes no sense. Makes no sense to me. I'm not saying what white people did for all those years leading up to this was okay. It wasn't. But on the flip side, excluding people's okay? I don't get it. And it's so obvious. That's the thing. It's not that it bothers me or bothers anybody. It's just most people are too scared to talk about how fucking obvious it is.
No. Again, see, like Bill is saying,
oh boy.
Covino, it's insulting to see mixed race couples.
Oh boy.
Yeah, who said that?
Bill Jackson.
My parents are mixed race couples. So let's talk about it, Bill. Let's talk about your diverse background. So how does that even make sense?
What's insulting is in old movies, they would have white people play anyone of color, or if it was an Asian movie, they have a white guy pretending to be an Asian guy. That's insulting. Yes.
I mean, they did that. Oh,
yeah. I'll Mickey Rooney to Jerry Lewis. I mean, yeah, of course.
I think
typecasting terrible.
I think NW makes the point here.
By the way, Jason Brown's on hold. I don't know if I have the answer.
I think NW makes a good point saying that what you're saying that it appears to be pandering and like
yes,
you're more amazed.
Hold on, it doesn't appear. It is, and we've already established there's nothing that Jason Brown could say that we haven't covered. Because
he's ready
in order
to
to make
stuff.
Change happen, you have to force the pendulum one way until it balances out in the middle. We've already established that. We get it. But to ignore how laughable it is and noticeable it is, you're fooling yourself. And you're okay with it because it's swinging your direction really hard. Really hard.
All right, let's go to Jason.
That's the fact.
But what do you say to the fact that it was swinging the other way for so many years?
That's why correction needs to be made. And that shit's long gone. But 2 wrongs don't make a right.
So they have to ease into the correction?
That was the problem, right? That's what everybody complained about. So it's okay to push it all the way so forcefully in the opposite direction?
What Covino's saying is that it's an exaggerated college brosure where everything...
100%. I mean, it doesn't need that much explanation. There's no malintent or hate behind it. It's what your eyes see. If your eyes can't see it, then fucking you need to go see an eye doctor.
I get it, but like... it's not like they're showing a series of like 40 Eggo waffle commercials in a row, and each time it's like different people of color, but not white people. It's like there's a campaign, and there's one family in the campaign that runs for X amount of time.
I'll give it. Vic says something like this. It's not exactly what he's saying, but he said,
you're fooling yourselves,
Right,
guys, if you don't see the obvious.
I think what it is everyone
saying.
everyone gets on the defensive when you bring this up because it's a sensitive issue. But what Covino's saying,
why should it be?
Hold on.
Do you not have eyeballs that function?
All right, listen. I love that you're getting out of your fog. I love it. Covino's bringing it today. But I want to bring up something Vic said because I agree with this. This might make it clear. It's not a matter of anyone hating on someone or not wanting someone to be represented, but when something seems forced or pandering just to make a point, Covino's amazed that more people don't realize what pandering is going on. Like how obvious this is. Like every show.
It's laughable. How are people not laughing at it? Is what I'm saying.
All right, for instance, it's great for television, right? In reality shows or sitcoms, because the funny gay best friend is always a great character. But what Covino's saying is in real life, such a small percentage of the population are sassy, funny gay people. But
yes.
TV and commercials would make you feel as though every group of friends has a sassy, funny gay guy.
Yes.
It's just disproportionately represented.
Pick the minority group. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like every I think that's really what it comes down to. It's disproportionate. Let's go to Jason Brown, downtown Jason Brown. What's up, buddy?
No, it's not. It's laughably disproportionate, if that's a word.
What's up, Jason?
Yo, what's up? What's up? Hey, man. Hey, so I appreciate the time being on hold. I was able to hear Covino's point a little bit better and a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
So it's not that you have an issue with what's happening. You're pointing out how far you feel as though the pendulum has swung, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's pretty obvious.
I get that. Yeah. I get that, and I can appreciate that. And I guess, the area where I come from is being on the end that has not seen, right, myself represented in a lot of commercials, TVs, movies, et cetera, outside of the token guy, right? The token black guy that looks like this,
right,
or the token black girl that does this, right? It feels a lot better to see yourself being represented in what is a quote unquote normal role, right? Just the average person,
love that.
right?
I love that point. I agree with that, Jason, wholeheartedly. I really do. But here's what happens, right? If we push so far, then where does your need for black entertainment and all this other stuff go in the future when everything is forcefully pushed in this direction as a public, not just on BET, not just on, where does that go in the future then? And why is that segregation of your own people okay when that's not how it's working anymore?
I can answer. I can absolutely answer that question, right? So, as without going too far, right? The reason why BET and stuff like that was created is because there was no space for black people in a lot of the mainstream
but that's not the
channels,
case.
right?
That's not the case right now.
Right. So to your point, if once we get to a point to where people are equally represented, right? And I think a lot of the TVs, the reason why we see a lot of these, why you see, more mixed racial couples, right, in commercials and stuff like that, is an attempt to normalize it to where it doesn't seem like it's, out of the norm, right? To where when you come across a couple that is a mixed race couple, you're like, oh, okay, that's just so-and-so and so-and-so because I've seen this before in TV and I've seen this before. So it's not that big of a deal, right? And once we get to the point to where this stuff becomes normal, well, then you may not have a need for a station like a BET where it's like, okay, hey, look, guys, we're catering to our audience, right? So when you have like TV shows where you have like more TV shows on CBS and NBC on these mainstream channels, well, then you don't need to have that one isolated place over there because now
that's what I'm asking.
Being met by the mainstream.
Makes sense.
I could see that's the goal. And it's like, all right, well, I think are we getting there? Because that's what I'm seeing a lot of, again, and it's very obvious. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing and that there's a problem with it. It's just the inaccuracy of it is extremely noticeable.
Jason.
And that's really it.
Jason, I think to wrap it up.
Well said, man. I appreciate it. He answered all my questions.
To wrap it up, Jason, I would say that to back up what Covino's saying, from what I'm taking out of it is anytime I see a commercial or a show, there's like I said, there's just a little too, it doesn't bother me at all, but it's so abundantly clear where it's like, all right, here's a family in a commercial. Everyone in the family, including their kid, is from a different background. And they may even include, honestly, I'm not trying to sound insensitive. They may even include like special needs or something else, or like grandma's like dad's in a wheelchair. Like there's always something where
somebody
like the next door neighbor is trans, or it's representing everyone, which you would say is great. But when you look at the numbers that make up this population, a lot of those groups are so small. So for every piece of programming to have someone from that group in it just doesn't reflect the society we're living in.
It's actually doing the exact opposite. You're giving way more opportunity to, and again, that I'm not against minorities, man. I'm not at all. Power to the people. Viva la raza. I don't give a fuck. I'm just telling you what I'm noticing.
Steve.
You're giving a hell of a lot more opportunity to minority people where I get it. Who feels sorry for the white guy? You know, they've had plenty of opportunity. I understand where the thought process comes from on the flip side. But as a result, you know, you're giving way more opportunity in one place than you are another.
Jason, is Jason still there?
Follows.
You can call back.
Okay, because I had a question for him.
It's not like the phones are shut down. Steve, Jordan was texting you, but you're using your phone. You can't see it. She said that because she does some acting stuff. So on LA Casting, which is a site that people use to do to get casting postings, she said none of them call for just straight up white people.
She and they blatantly advertise
blatantly.
Yeah, so please explain to me how that's okay.
That's what I was going to ask Jason. That's what I was going to ask Jason Brad, because I have a friend who's a writer, right? And he was told by his agent. This is the guy that wrote shows for NBC, CBS.
And Rich, and by the way, Rich, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like I feel like I'm fighting your fight half the time.
I don't have a fight to fight. I'm fine.
Well, you should, because you know if they want to cast you, you know what they cast you for? The dopey fucking goony white dad. The dopey white goon. You know, and everybody's been typecasted along the way, regardless of their minority or ethnic background. I get that, right? Like Jason Brown already explained, like token black guy. No one wants to be token black guy. But do you want to be fucking goofy white dad who's a bumbling idiot? Because that's all they're casting you for.
I mean, he fits the bill perfectly.
I mean, it would be a good cast.
It would be like,
no, but I was.
Even have to act.
I have a friend who's a writer that I used to live in the same building with when I lived across the street from you, Spot. He told me that he's having such a hard time getting work because networks and agencies they're not even hiding it. They're saying, we don't want to see a script unless it's from a woman of color. And he's like, yeah, but I've got a great script. And they're like, yeah, you're a 40-something-year-old white guy. Chill for a little while. And
How's that fair? How's that fair?
I was like, the fact that that's outwardly said seems wild to me.
It's racist. It's blatantly racist. Am I mad about it? No, because it doesn't affect me. It affects you and your family and your kid. Let me tell you, growing up, you had a nice little run of little Sally and her blonde hair and little Emmy with her blonde hair and her blue eyes, living a great little fucking life in her neighborhood. Those fucking days are done because you guys are letting it happen. You know, and not that it's a bad thing, but it's not the cool thing to be. It's the weak thing to be. No one wants to cast you as the
depends
person
on where you
for the
live.
job
You live in Los
or the
Angeles.
person as the friend because you're not a person of color. It's like it's not the cool thing to be. You know, I'm not complaining.
In the Hollywood world, Steve, in real life,
Hollywood world, it's these things translate. We've already established that it becomes the norm because it's what you see over and over again.
Let's go to your feedback, your phone calls.
Hey, you think that Emmy has the same clout she had 15 years ago if she was brought up in this world? No. Not even close.
Pretty white
She won't
girl,
have the
pretty
same
white girl doesn't
opportunity.
have the same opportunity.
No, and I'm not going to cry about it, but it's the truth. Like no one's playing the violin for a little white girl. I get that, and I'm sure the hell am not. I got a little brown girl of my own.
Should put her into acting.
But I mean, to deny these things
Jason
is
just tried to call back. Call back
is
again.
everybody fooling themselves? Just again a lot of ass kiss. To be honest, too. Change needs to happen, but it's a lot of ass kiss.
Such a strange topic to be passionate about. That's from.
What's so strange
Bill.
about it? Do you not have eyeballs?
I hear what you're saying. Listen.
So then why would you even read that?
I'm just reading
it's
the feed.
strange to not notice it.
It's his poop colored
It's
glasses.
more strange to not notice these things.
Let's see.
How is it not more strange to not notice that in order for those changes to happen, you had to exclude your own people?
I think what you're doing, Covino, is you're pointing something out that I'm not even lying.
That makes white people's assholes pucker up like little baby bitches. That's what it is. And I'm in the middle where I could express these things because I could see them and speak freely on them because I have no hatred or no agenda either way. This is what I see. It's so obvious.
I think you're.
I could speak from a middle ground.
I think you're just confusing real life and the Hollywood entertainment world because there's
the art depicts life, dude.
No, it doesn't.
Like we've already established that. That's why these
I'm
things
saying
are forced.
you have an insight. You have an insight just from the industry you work in, right? That other people are like, yeah, I don't see what you're talking about, Covino. Because in their world, it's like people get hired, fired, work, and like the whole idea of like casting things. That's such a very LA thing, but it's what you're saying is 100% accurate.
There's equal opportunity in every employer. Every employer is going to try to hire based on diversity.
Well,
now.
did you see that one guy that just won a lawsuit? You see that
On
big
what?
story that was floating around?
On what?
Some
But what-
middle-aged
but hold on, you bring
white
up
guy.
a- you
Some
bring up a
middle-aged
point,
white
and
guy.
then you can't
I'm
fly
gonna get a
right
coffee. I'll
past
be right
it.
back.
You're losing quality as a result of just trying to fill some quota. How is that fucking good for the country, the economy, or anybody? We're so fixated on filling quotas and appeasing everybody. You lose quality. It should always have been the best man for the job, regardless of color, regardless of race, regardless of any of these things.
You done? Why did you run out of steam when
I
Rich
see
left?
the feedback, and
Oh,
it's
Jason's
like,
calling back.
It's laughable that people don't even want to acknowledge the truth. It's like the truth is right in your fucking nose, and you want to like ignore it.
No, I got hair up there because I don't trim it.
And maybe I am the guy to fucking point out some clarity because I'm in the middle. I'm not black. I'm not white. I'm a guy who sees exactly what's going on, but I'm not scared to talk about it because if you're a white guy talking about it, you look like you're coming from a bad place of you don't want sea change to happen. And I think we've forced change so hard to happen that it's getting to a place where, okay, now we've gone too far. And it takes someone in the middle to fucking acknowledge these things. The end. I'm done with it.
Oh,
if you can't see that, then I think you guys have the problem.
I agree that for someone in the entertainment industry like me, it's not the easiest time. And anyone that argues that just doesn't know because they're not informed the way I am. Casting for hosting stuff, events, commercials, very little calls for what used to be called for more frequently. Now, most things they do want some like a younger person of color for a lot of commercials. That's a fact. That's not.
I think in life, bro.
That's not any statement.
I'm not fixating on the arts. I think in life, it should always be the best man for the job. Always. Color? Who gives a fuck about that? If we're supposed to be all equal, who cares about that fucking shit?
Let's see.
But we can move on, man.
412, the letter C in our show.
Jason's back if you want to.
Oh, yeah, Jason, I'm just curious what your angle on that is. Because
By the way, Bill, I want Bill Jackson to know I haven't watched any Hannity. I don't watch any fucking Republican right-wing news. And because I have a perspective that you're so scared of because you feel some sort of shame and white guilt that you have to push so hard to justify your guilty feelings. That means nothing to me whatsoever as a guy in the middle who calls it as I see it.
I do wonder who
has nothing to do with right-wing news whatsoever. I don't even watch that shit.
I would like to know, not that this has any sort of effect on it at all, but like who is making these decisions? Is it white guilt? Is it
white America
TV, white
out
TV?
of guilt?
No, I'm saying like white TV executives. Are they like,
yes,
we
safety reasons.
We need to.
It's executives, firsthand. We pitched a TV show with someone important, and the first thing they said was, "We really love the idea. How could we incorporate?" They said, "Hand to God." They said to us when we pitched to a major network a TV show, "How could we incorporate some type of woke vibe to this?" Or some type of woman of color, because that's hot, quote, hot right now. So if you think I'm full of shit, a network told us that could we incorporate a, quote, woman of color or some type of woke issue, because that is what networks want right now. So that's not a lie. That's me just telling you what I learned. I'm not butthurt about it, but I can't say that Covino is full of shit. Covino's telling the truth. Jason.
Well, he hasn't pooped in 4 days, so...
He is full of shit. He has.
When you sit around at a hospital and you just watch TV and you see I don't like the word agenda because it comes from a negative place.
I call it the agenda.
Or it feels like a negative place.
I know what you're saying. Agenda's the wrong word. It's more, it's an obvious, deliberate thing. And by the way,
when you see these deliberate tactics, you can't sit there and imagine that you're the only person noticing them. It's just everyone else seems to be okay with it.
But that's you know who makes a good point? No, who makes a good point? Kyle says the phrase "best man or woman for the job" seems racist these days because it feels like you're insinuating something wrong when you're not.
Why? I come up from. Are you better than me because you're 100% white guy? I never felt that way. I never looked at anybody and said they're better than me because of the color of their skin. And if we all truly believe that about ourselves, shouldn't the best man, the best qualified woman or person get the job regardless of what they look like and the color of their skin? It's the fucking opposite of progress. We're judging people based on how they look and not where they're qualified.
But Jason, you have to agree that companies are doing a fantastic job of trying to level the playing field by making an internal mission statement to make sure the workplace is more diverse. So you got to say that's a good step, no?
Go ahead, sorry.
No, it was a leap. We've leaped over this shit already.
Yeah, so I think I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I mean I think to your point, yes, there has been a concerted effort, right, for diversity hires, right, hiring more people who are diverse, right, because like you said, the non-white, and I use white in air quotes because I mean at the end of the day, race is a made-up construct, right? It's like in mankind and human beings, race does not exist, right? You can't tell me where white people come from. You can't tell me where black people come from, right?
All people.
You can say, hey, look, Italians come from here, yada yada yada, but that's a whole nother history.
Did you just
I don't
yada
really
yada Italians?
He yada yada Italians, yeah.
Yada yada Italians.
Oh, I hope I didn't.
dare
If I
you.
did, I apologize.
No, man.
apologize.
We're all fucking
Parts of
equal
Covino.
people, man. We got to stop kissing ass just because they look different.
No, so look, I mean, at the end of the day, race is made a construct. When we start talking about white people, black people, it's not we're not talking about ethnicity. We're talking about these boxes that people have been put into, right? There was a long part of time where Italian people weren't considered white, right? Yep. Irish people weren't considered white. Jewish people weren't considered white. So now all of a sudden we put all these different ethnicities into quote unquote white, quote unquote black, and stuff like that, right? So I appreciate the diversity hires, right? From a person who has people who look like me have been excluded for a long time. And I can understand how, somebody like yourself may feel like, okay, well, hey, look, you know what? And I'm forgive me for, putting words in your mouth. That's not my intent. But people who will sit here and say, okay, hey, look, you know what? we've hired enough black people, brown people, whatever, save some jobs for the rest of us white people, right? And I know that that those are not your words, but I've heard the very similar argument.
Best person for the job.
And by the way, Jason, did you see that lawsuit?
Brown or yellow? I don't give a shit.
Did you see the lawsuit where there was a white executive who won a major $1 million lawsuit because he was let go from his job because the company had an agenda to hire more diverse people, and he got let go for no real reason other for the fact that he was not of color. And he actually won the lawsuit. That was a crazy story. Have you seen that one?
I haven't.
No, I haven't seen that one, and I'd love to dig into that a little bit deeper to understand, a little bit more details as far as why that's happening. But I mean, to add to Covino's point, I mean, yes, there is a much more concerted effort, right? Because I really feel like there are a lot of people who feel like for hundreds of years there's been a wrong in this country, right? Where people say, hey, look, the best person for the job. Well, but if you grew up around all white people, right? Just saying this because the majority of America does, right? The majority of America does not, has not grown up around black people. The majority of America does not know personally a black person, a brown person, this and that, and the third. So if you grow up with that, right, then in your mind, the best person for the job is somebody that looks like you, that comes from your same background, right? So if we say the best person for the job, and you're looking at the best person based off of what you understand is the best person, looks like this, talks like this, walks like this, well then most likely the person that you're going to pick fits within your ideal, right? If you're a Hispanic person, right, and you grew up around all Hispanic people, the best person for the job most likely is going to be a Hispanic person, right? That's not necessarily saying that in itself is racist, right? But that's unconscious bias, And Jon Stewart, and I love Jon Stewart because he actually was talking about this in his hiring practices, and what he said was they went to the agencies and, hey, look, we need more diversity, and people were like, okay, all right, and the people they kept sending looked like one particular either, look like white people or whatever the case is. So they had to go and say, hey, look, we need you to change how you pick people because, if you're only giving us people who fit this particular criteria, that's all we have to pick from. So if you expand that criteria, because there are a lot of smart black people, there are a lot of smart Mexican people, there are a lot of smart Italian people, a lot of smart people in all these different ethnicities. But if we're only picking from people who have this particular background, the pool that we're picking from is going to be representative of where we're coming from.
Thank you, Jason.
Jason, did you see They Will Be Heard? That's causing a big stir for Black Westerns and getting great reviews. If you want to check that out,
I love Idris Elba.
I don't think that's the name of it.
Thank you.
The harder they fall,
Jason.
The harder they fall.
Thank you. Yeah. Let's have some fun now. I'm just saying, let's get back to fucking normal demographics and let's get the right people involved.
Shout out to my boy.
This isn't a fun conversation anymore. I feel like we're losing control of it.
What are people counting, by the way?
What?
The amount of times Jason says right.
Oh.
No, Jason made a lot of great points today.
I know you say right more than him.
And, I hope my points didn't get lost in the mix, but unfortunately, I think they did. And they're not coming from a bad place at all. It's just coming from a place of observation. And I feel like we lose quality as a result of trying to kiss everybody's ass, to put it frankly. And you see it not only with the color of one's skin, you see it with just like the slobs that they put on TV just to make everybody feel better about themselves. It's like we lost quality control as a country. And you say it's like art, but art imitates life. And that's what we see and that's what we emulate. And it's kind of gross sometimes when you pay real close attention to it. And I unfortunately had a lot of time to do that. So, hey, off my soapbox, let's have some fun. Just some observations. Look, I'm a dude of color.
You need a hobby.
I'm not fighting the fucking white man's fight. I just think there's too many white people out there walking on eggshells, scared to speak the truth.
Man who says he was fired for being a white male was awarded $10 million by a jury. I found that story from a week ago. He won $10 million. It was proven that he did nothing to be fired other than the company made it very clear they wanted to replace him with a black woman. And he had a whole lawsuit and was awarded $10 million.
Hey.
So
David Duvall of Michigan.
I don't feel sorry for him. And I really don't feel that sorry for white people. I'm just telling you how I see it. And to ignore it is hysterical. Okay, so let's get into like ass cheeks and spreading ass cheeks and
shaving ass cheeks.
Let's talk about ass cheeks. Yeah.
I told you it was more fun to talk about grooming. I told you Spot's back hair was more exciting than
this
real
all
stuff.
started from like the carbon copy formulas that I was noticing on sports broadcasts and television and news and everything else, and how you were the same guy as Andy Grammer, and like everyone's just looking for the same shit because it's safe, and we're just trying to mix it up with people of color for our own fucking, again, our own sense of we're doing something right as a public, you know? No, let's keep our standards high. That's how I feel.
This like really blows my mind.
Same guy.
Same guy. Same cloth. It's like my dad and Snyder from One Day at a Time.
Oh, same guy.
Same guy.
Same guy growing up to me.
Jeez.
Hey,
what do you want to talk about next? Surging inflation. What do you want to talk about
next? Let's have some fun. Let's talk about stupid shit.
All right. Well, what do you want to talk about? Surging inflation?
That sounds great. What are we at? All-time high?
You know how much meat costs now? By the way, someone brought up a good
talk
point.
about the approval ratings of Joe Biden?
Let's talk about how gas is over $5 a gallon now.
Is it over 5?
What is it? 90? What is it? Supreme?
Holy shit.
No, 91 is over $5 a gallon.
You know, it's just to wrap up that last conversation, I had a thought. You know how sometimes they'll have like a civilization that lives in the middle of a jungle, and you wonder, like, what do they learn without the influence of the outside world?
That's where I want to go. I want to go to a mountaintop.
Yeah, you really want to go
Away
to
from-
spot.
I
They'll
wanna go to a
fucking murder you in a minute with a spear.
No, I
want to
go
go there.
I just want to go away from everyone. I want to go to a mountaintop.
Then no one's stopping you. Do it.
Really?
Who's stopping you? What is stopping you right now?
Doing the show?
You're unfortunately, you as much like Funkhauser, you're an orphan.
My desire.
You have no children. It's you and your wife. What stops you from actually going to a mountaintop?
My wife.
Oh, so your wife. Okay, but if
Can I
you
ditch her?
If you would want to go to a mountaintop alone,
I think I'd be like so peaceful, just sitting on a mountaintop, getting up every
Then do
day.
it. What are you waiting for?
Chopping some wood. I need money. I need a source of income.
you cash out your 401k. You could probably sell candles out of a cabin and live for 10 years in the middle of nowhere.
You know, it's a great question. What would you do? If
What would stop you? Why you honestly cash
Chop
out your
some wood.
cash out your stock
books.
options and 401k. You probably have $500,000 at least in assets. Fucking go live in the woods for 10 years. Honestly, be honest. You say something like that, but nothing's genuinely stopping you. What's stopping you?
I don't know, my desire to like maintain society.
All right, so you don't really want to go to a mountaintop because if you really want to go to a mountaintop, Covino, honestly, you have no responsibility to really tend to someone or something.
My desire for blowjobs.
So go with your wife. That's really your desire for blowjobs? That's a silly answer
I don't know
too.
if she would give up her career. I don't know if she would do that.
It's a good desire.
So if your wife said, okay, you would actually want to go live on a mountaintop?
I think so.
Like in a cabin.
Yeah.
Do you want Wi-Fi
Rich,
or no?
I think you're forcing a really great question for everybody
What's
to answer.
stopping
It's
you?
like, what if you didn't have kids and you had to keep them in school and maintain
right.
some sort of level of societal norm?
Bye, guys.
What would you want to do and achieve in your life for a sense of peace? You get
Nothing's
one
stopping
life.
you. And I'm not saying that in a dickish way. I don't want you to go anywhere. I like having you around here. But the reality is, what stops people? Older, sick parents, kids to take care
Tell you
of,
what, if
school districts.
If Shiba Inu goes to $1, peace out.
If it goes to a penny, peace out for you probably.
$1. And I'm gone. I'm living on a mountaintop.
I just don't. I mean, when people say they want to do something, not to sound like fucking Gary Vaynerchuk or some motivational TikTok guy, but what's stopping you other than like? Otherwise, you just all talk. Genuinely.
I'd be like Franz. I'd paint and take photos.
All right, so
I'd finish
My visions always go back to some sort of beach.
I'd finally finish the paint by number I bought during the pandemic. I've only gotten to number 3.
I'll tell you what I wouldn't do, just based on the feedback that's still coming in. I wouldn't be a racist piece of shit. So if anyone got like racism out of our last conversation, shove it up your ass and forget about that, because no one was talking about racism. You know, I don't believe in it. Fuck everybody.
Oh, my original question before Spot told us he wants to live on a mountaintop, but he really doesn't mean it, because if he really meant it, he'd do it.
No, I kind of do. But I feel
don't
like
really mean
I
it.
feel like I'm chained
do
to
it,
the
Spot.
shackles of conventional society.
You don't mean
Do
it.
it.
I'm chained to, like, you know what I love too?
Fine, move to a mine. Like move
you know
into
what-
an old abandoned mine.
You know what else looks fun? Van life. But I feel like when you're in the middle of it, you're like, okay, now I'm driving around. Where am I going to take a
Yeah,
mean,
why don't
steamy
you and your
shit?
wife go on a cross-country trip?
Where am I going to take a mean, steamy shit? I need like my own solace place to take a mean, steamy shit.
You could do it
Honestly,
in the
if
woods,
there was
Spot.
a guy to do it, it's you, Spot. You don't have kids and you're an orphan. You're a little orphan Funkhauser.
That's what I'm saying. Most people, you'd say, hey, why don't you pick up and go? They'd say, oh, my fucking kids are in school, or my mom and dad are getting older. Yeah. You have nothing conventional that holds you back.
Are you trying to get rid of me?
No, you just said.
You were very quick to jump on this.
You just said, I want to go live on a mountaintop. And the reality
Anything
is.
to get off the last conversation, Spot, is great. So
But I'm being. Again,
I'm telling you.
let me make it very clear. I
conventional
don't want you.
Society keeps me locked into. I have to. You know what? I have to shun the shackles of conventional society, and I'll be able to just go live on a mountaintop.
but I
got money.
There's
buy a
Spots.
house?
You're an excuser. I agree. I agree, Preston. But there's really nothing holding you back. Say you love being around me and Steve, and you love society, and you love Western culture, and you need your TV and your internet and all this stuff, because otherwise, not one thing. You're not broke. That's the other crazy thing. Like I said, if you cashed out all your assets, you could go live in a fucking cabin in the middle of nowhere. You could probably buy it in full and whittle fucking wood and sell candles and live a simpleton lifestyle.
Whittle wood. You know what? You're right. Huh?
But why?
be a rifle like a mountain man, Spot. Hunt.
Let me go pee. I'll be back in 10 seconds.
Oh, again?
Mine
No, I
some
did
gold.
see
Why
last
don't you
time.
pan
No,
for
let-
gold somewhere?
Hold
I
on.
can see you
Pan
panning
for
for
gold.
gold. Yeah, that's the life right there.
You know, what is holding me back?
Societal norms.
Is that it? I'm
Yeah.
too. Like I said, I'm too. I can't shun the shackles of society.
And you shouldn't have to, because it's okay to live a normal life and still get away and live. And I think that's what we all need to do a better job of doing. Like I said, I keep going back to a beach. Like, I'm talking exotic.
to go
beach.
to
I
a
want to
beach.
go somewhere nice.
I love the
But then you
beach.
come back to your fucking normal life and you try to do nice things and live a family life. I mean, what's more there? What's more to life than that? What else could you possibly do?
I have been begging my wife to get dual citizenship because her mother was born in Italy. So
Yeah, see the world.
She has birthright to get Italian citizenship. As do I, but it would just take it's a much longer process because I'd have to go back generations.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll just move to Italy. I'd love to move to go to under the
Why do you gotta
Tuscan
move
sun.
there?
Be
Though?
like
you know what's
on
why you
on
hit the nail on the
vineyard,
head.
just like stomping grapes for the rest of my life.
I'm
Go
here,
there
Lonnie.
for a little while. I don't want you to for selfish reasons, because we have a career and a job and a level of life we're trying to maintain, and I guess some sort of goals that we're trying to achieve. I don't even know what they are anymore. That's a scary feeling. But like, you could do those things and then come back to your normal life. It's just we don't do enough of that, and hopefully
Well, that's the thing, too.
in
Like-
the near future we can.
Once I give up this life, I can't come back to it. I have to find something else to come back to.
But what I'm saying is, and by the way, I want to address Kyle and all the great feedback we're getting. Kyle says, why am I critical of Spot's dream of living like Captain Kirk on a mountain? I'm not. But what I'm saying is this.
I'd love to be on a buffalo.
What I'm saying is, Cove,
Abandoned mine.
I don't want Spot to go. I want to make that abundantly clear. But the reality is, if he really deep down inside in his heart was like, I don't want this life anymore, he is like the perfect candidate. You know how like a lot of times they'll be like, you're the perfect candidate for LASIK. You're the perfect candidate to go to outer space. You're the perfect candidate for this. You are the perfect candidate. You have money saved.
I do.
You're 40. You have no children yet.
41.
Your parents, unfortunately, are no longer here.
Correct.
So you have nothing family binding
Spot
you.
could have a cabin life.
I would love it.
You could be like Dexter in the new season, living in the middle of the
Yes.
fucking woods in upstate New York.
Yeah, that would be great. But,
Chopping
you know,
wood, going to the hardware. You could be like Dexter. Work at the hardware store, live in the middle of the woods, upstate New York.
Winters get to be a bit much.
that becomes boring too, though. I think we all strive for superficial things that we think are going to make us happy.
He still has a wife, but that's disposable.
I do. I absolutely do. There's a lot of superficial, stupid things that I still want out of life.
Wives are disposable.
No.
Only this career could provide me
I know,
with.
Sarah's a
And
mother now.
If you could balance that out with a getaway here and there, then you're winning.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying disposable, meaning Spot. You and your wife have relatively the same income bracket, and you have no assets to divide. So you and your wife would have the cleanest split of all time. Remember when, like, our friend Shannon? Remember how our friends Shannon and Pat got divorced, and it was very clean because neither one of them really had much. You and your wife have the relatively same income, right? And whatever asset you've built over the years, split down the middle. I don't want you to do that, but if someone's like, well, his wife is holding him back, you are the candidate to live in a fucking cabin with an axe, work at a hardware store, work at a yogurt shop, do it like, just, wives are disposable.
I always think that, like, if this show were to go away, like in American Beauty, where Kevin Spacey loses his job and he goes to the fast food place, he's like, I want the job with the least responsibility possible. I almost feel like I would just take a job with zero responsibility, like yoga. I teach yoga. I feel like it's great for me.
You could
teach
yoga in the middle of like a small country town. I don't know. Just saying, Spot.
All right.
Open a bakery.
All right. You know what? I'm gonna start. I have a 6-month plan. By the spring, I'll be living on in a mountaintop.
Well, just coincide with my plan. Remember of 2 years.
You guys start looking for a new producer. You got 6 months.
Okay, fair enough. You could be a Walmart greeter.
Nah, I'd be too.
You have to wonder where all this is heading, anyway. To be quite honest, I'm excited to get back into the swing of things and back into the studio with you guys. But it's like Spot mentioned yesterday. Spot actually planted this seed yesterday. It's like, well, what's next? He's sort of content sitting in his little box over there. What is next? Is this it? Is this
and honestly,
rest of our next 15-year career? I don't think so, but
technically,
you can't help but wonder these things sometimes.
Technically, and I've been plotting this, technically with an internet connection, I can still run this show. It's super easy. I figured out that I can run this remotely. I can actually even remote into this computer and operate it.
Yeah,
if I had to.
I mean, then Covino, you also have to think like,
you don't need me here.
The long-term interest level of our friends and subscribers and fans of the show.
Yeah, it's like, how do you separate yourself? How do you keep it going? And how do you compete with the 8 billion other podcasts and celebrities that have their own show and their own little audience and niche going on? It's very impossible if you're not doing it every day. So
this little white
good
wall
luck with that.
This could be anywhere. This could be in a closet at my mountain retreat.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm painting that and fixing that up later this week, Spot. So
put some wood up. You wouldn't know the difference.
I know. On a positive, I was saying earlier, Covino, the positives this week. You're out of the hospital, and after 6 months of living with a kitchen with no counters and wood planks as my island encounters, I think, all the ships that are backed up in the ocean that have all our supplies on them.
And all your Christmas presents that you're not going to get this year?
Yeah. By the way, did I mention it yesterday on the show, or did I tell Nicole? I'm like weird. It's so weird for me to say this. I believe it or not, I started Christmas shopping already. I haven't Christmas shopped until mid-December my whole life. But I was just looking around. I'm like, let me get the kids a couple toys now, put them away just in case fucking weird shit happens with FedEx, UPS, Amazon. You don't know what's going to happen over the next couple months with inflation, with vaccine mandates and all this shit. So I was like, you know what? Let me make sure I have a few things for the kids right now. Is that a crazy thought?
No, every major news outlet is suggesting that you got to start shopping now because you're probably not going to get your presents in time.
Yeah, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, Emmy, that unicorn thing you wanted? It's going to be here. Santa said January 14th it'll be here. You don't want that shit.
By the way, speaking of...
you know what you could go become?
What?
Santa's focused on little kids of colors. Santa doesn't care about Emmy.
I could be an island boy.
You could be an island boy. Covino's an island boy. That's what you could be. You could be an island boy.
What was I saying?
I want to be an island boy. I sort of touched on that yesterday. I think they're living their life.
So
I I'm not here to hate on anybody, man. I want everyone to live their best life and have fun and enjoy. You get one.
Yeah.
You know, that's the realization I had. You get one. And
where's this going?
Those Island Boys on social media, they're looking like they're having fun to me. So good for them.
It is a great question. Where is this going? We've been doing this show for 15, 16 plus years now. So it's like, hey, where is this in 5 years from now?
I assumed I was going to retire with the show.
Very scary territory. That's where it is.
It's a weird world we're living in. I had a thought that to wrap up that whole racial conversation.
It wasn't racial.
I know that's why I said it funny, Covino.
I know, but that's what's aggravating and why I want to tell people to take their feedback and shove it up their ass because, all I see is a lot of regurgitated bullshit out of guilt and out of fear. And because I have original thoughts from a really solid place of being right in the middle, people can't handle that.
Two thoughts.
And the feedback aggravates me.
Number one, Daniel, I'm with you. Spot, you should grow a ponytail and become a hippie. That would be really cool. That would be a great, cool look for you. That's your next look.
You know what I wouldn't do if I moved to a mountain house? Shave my back hair.
See?
You'd comb your hair with a wagon wheel.
I would.
He'd comb his back hair with a wagon wheel.
I totally Spot, you know what I totally picture? Like you in some set of Little House on the Prairie where they have the what are they called? Like the mills, like like a water mill.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Going around and Spot. I feel like I'm just gonna add suspenders to Spot's wardrobe.
Yeah, Spot. Cue up that song about the guy who combed his hair with a wagon wheel. Start learning that. Look up the lyrics to that. I think you need to sing that. Start living. Like I said, I see you living on some sort of like panning for gold sort of scene.
But there's no.
You'd be great in the 1800s.
I would.
Yeah, they're gonna call you Old Man Tucker.
Comb hair with a wagon wheel.
Yeah,
you gotta learn that song that they sang on Little House on the Prairie.
Old Dan Tucker.
Old Dan Tucker. This is Tucker.
By the way, Eric, Soul Patch Eric says, "What's up?" He said he actually works in a lot of stuff that involves the supply chain, and he said not a bad idea at all. He started shopping for a couple things for his kids around Halloween because. He's like, there's going to be a lot of disappointed moms and dads that can't find their shit around Christmas.
Here's Spot in the future.
Well, old Dan Tucker was a fine old man who washed his face in the frying pan, combed his hair with a wagon wheel, died with a toothache and ill peel. Get out the way, old Dan Tucker, get out the way.
A Spot with his overalls on.
Hey, Spot, next on your playlist, can you play Hillbilly Jim, Don't Go Messing with a Country Boy? Because I feel like that song's right up your alley, too. This will be part of Spot's new life soundtrack. Tank tops and suspenders, quite the look.
Doesn't pan out the right way.
This is what Spot will play while he's working around his new little cabin in the middle of nowhere. Hillbilly Jim style.
Hold on.
I don't know how this isn't already on your iPod.
I don't know how I can't find it. Hang on.
Don't Go Messing with a Country Boy by Hillbilly Jim. Just look for the one with like 50 billion views.
No, I have to. I was trying to pull it up on Spotify.
Let's see. I see Spot moving to Eastern Kentucky. He'll be the real life Yukon Cornelius.
It's possible. All right.
We have ladies.
Sorry, that was a.
All right. Well, clearly, Hillbilly Jim, Don't Go Mess with a Country Boy, isn't easily as accessible as I thought.
You guys can talk while I look this up.
Hey, where's Spot been? Somewhere churning butter or something.
Don't go messing with a country boy, a country boy, a country boy. Don't go messing with a country boy.
Don't mess with a country boy.
Sorry, WWE is very aggressive. I'm gonna turn that down.
There you go.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you. I'm gonna hate reading the feedback later. I'm gonna wish I never said a fucking goddamn thing today. But
hey, people know that you're coming out of your fog. Don't worry, your COVID fog.
I don't know. Things seem pretty clear.
Anything that
you listen to what I'm saying.
Anything you say over the next week, you could blame on the COVID fog.
But here's what people don't understand. All the things that people think I'm complaining about, I prosper from. That doesn't make it okay all the time, though. I am viewed as a person of color.
Yeah, so you benefit.
That benefits me. So that's why I have the freedoms to say these things. And for people that don't understand that, that's on you. Like, that's why I'm allowed to say and speak freely on a lot of these things. I am a person of color. So I benefit. I prosper. There's a place for me in broadcasting and in this society as a result of these changes. So I'm doing just fine. I'm telling you what I see.
Okay. I have 3 thoughts.
By the way, you know what else I see on a side note, Rich? Totally unrelated. The amount of atrophy that my body was able to endure is unbelievable. I have little baby arms.
Yeah, me too.
You have twig arms? Your fucking Covino fucking guns are gone?
Rich, I feel like my hands shrunk. I feel like my all my muscle tone in my calves are gone.
Same.
I feel like
you know what I did last night?
My arms are shrunk like significantly.
I sprained
like
my
the
toe
amount of
last
atrophy I have just even in my face, my muscles in my face have changed in just 2 weeks. It's unbelievable the amount of atrophy I've endured.
I had to walk I taught yoga last night, which wasn't fun. And I walked there, and by the time I got there, it took me at least 10 minutes to catch my breath.
Damn. Yeah,
like I
couldn't get
I
had to sleep on oxygen last night.
I was like, how am I going to teach?
My energy levels are so off. My energy itself is just so off.
Man, little weak boy, huh?
Yeah, I can't, dude. I honestly can't believe how. I mean, I'm stating the obvious, and life is so fragile and fragile, but just one little fucking bout of pneumonia and COVID, and my God, dude, it's like, I'm like, am I gonna ever feel normal again? It's the worst. So yeah, I feel like a major pussy.
Is your face gonna be totally fucked up? How McConaughey was after that one role?
I've thought about that. Yeah,
like remember when McConaughey? What role was that? Where he lost all the weight for Dallas Buyers Club, right? I believe.
Yeah, he never looked the same. Never was as handsome again. Yeah. I've thought about that because, like I in just that short amount of time, this significant difference I feel physically, and like I said, my energy is it's unbelievable. I'm sure the medicine has a lot to do with that too. But anyway, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Nick.
Oh boy, people are saying, what if hair loss is the next thing for you?
Yeah, I'm not excited about that either.
Steve Covino, your dad, Big Steve. He said, yeah, Spot, you'll make a fortune. Open up a candle bakery shop, coffee shop. Candles, baked goods, and coffee. In the middle of nowhere.
Fortune? I don't know about fortune, but you could live a nice, happy life,
3 quick things I wanted to mention, and then I'll get into something fun.
I'm going to start researching this. I think it's going to happen.
All right, hey, listen. Your wife, as we discussed
I
earlier,
may have to get divorced. I may have to get divorced, though.
Split your assets. No big deal.
Or I'll just say, hey, we're going to live apart for a while. Maybe I'll go for a year, and I'll do his experience, and I'll document it, and that can be like how I make money. I'll become popular. You guys promote it.
I think projects are fun. People like to bake a cake and see the consumer's reaction. I think projects are what keep people thriving and striving. Spot. I think you'd be bored if you didn't have that in your life.
I don't know. Some people like being bored. Like Spot's the type of guy that likes sitting in a cabin when I go on vacation. Honestly, after day 4 or 5, I'm like, I got to get back to home and life. Spot's a guy that's like, I could go on vacation for a month.
You know what would be my ideal evening? Sitting in front of a dimly lit cabin with a fire roaring, with an old fashioned in my hand.
That's nice, but every day, or is that like a nice vacation thing?
Every day.
Real? Okay, I see.
That would be my night. I wouldn't need to watch anything because you know why? I wouldn't care. Who do I need to talk to about? I don't know. Squid Game.
Yeah, all right.
No one.
A few quick things, and then I'll bring up something that's maybe a little reflective as well. Because let's be honest, all the news is just sad shit. Kids dying at a concert. Who wants to talk about that?
I think Travis Scott's a piece of shit based on how he handled all of that and just a lot of footage that I've seen since prior to this tragedy. And look, no one's perfect. I get it. And there's been lots of other deaths at other festivals, but I really supported this guy. I thought he was cool, and I just absolutely do not anymore.
You know, when I as the story unfolds and more is going on and we're finding out more details, I feel like yesterday I saw, it was like everyone sharing videos of other bands stopping the show when something goes down. Like I saw one with Adele, one with Foo Fighters.
I saw a video from Astroworld.
Linkin Park.
Did you see the one where the girl's telling like the camera dude, like, people are dead and people are dying, and the guy's like, yeah, I'm filming. Like, fucking chaos. It was.
But I've just seen other footage too, how Travis Scott, again, a true innovator, a true artist, a guy whose style and endorsements that I really totally admired. You know how long I wanted Travis Scott fucking Jordans? You know, on a side note, I'm not even a fan of his music, just a fan of his endorsement deals. And I saw him just berating people. Like all this different sort of footage is starting to surface on this guy
I
as a result of this terrible press. And like, I lost all respect for this dude, all respect for this guy.
You know, I understand it's sometimes it's hard to know when you're on stage what's going on out in the crowd. Like,
of course, no question.
Look at that documentary that we watched on Woodstock '99.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the artists were disconnected from what was actually going on.
Well, look at the
100%.
shooting in Las Vegas. The artists, you know, you keep performing, you hear loud bangs, you keep fucking playing until someone's like, yo, get the fuck out of here.
You're also
world,
expecting other people to do their
job.
I get all that, man. I'm saying, like, based on the other footage and clips that I've seen of this guy since, doesn't seem like a nice guy.
I saw a horrible video. They were the medics were pulling out some girl on a stiff backboard, and they like pulled her over a railing and dropped, and her head hit the ground, and they picked her up and kept going.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, Travis Scott is a rapper, entertainer, influencer.
There's no
superstar, and he held a festival called Astroworld where at least I think 8 people died, but lots of injuries and lots of chaos ensued, and people were trying to get his attention. But again, he's a performer. We do understand that. It's just how the whole thing was handled was really, really ugly, and a lack of accountability was definitely involved in his take on everything.
Now, I would say the big takeaway from that is, like you said, when you're on stage,
we're not ready for concerts.
What's your accountability, right? It's like, and when people are, I'm still amazed by that concept, and God willing, none of us ever have to deal with that. But the whole idea of like a human stampede of people crushing other people just seems to me like, how does that even happen? Like,
just
panic, I guess, right? I mean,
yeah, and you know, the concert takes on a life of its own.
Yeah, have you ever been?
You can only see so much. I do understand that. You know, it's not completely on him, but the level of accountability is. And I think the update was he was paying for the funerals and refunding everybody at the show. I mean, we're talking oceans of people.
Yeah,
we get that, but we've seen other acts handle it in a much better and much professional way.
Have you ever been to a festival as a plebe, as a common man? Because
I don't think so.
That's then you until you've stood in a crowd of people, in a general admission crowd where everyone's trying to get up to the stage and be as close as possible.
You lose all control.
You lose all control. It's a sea of people pushing you.
Ugh, scary.
That you can't control. And you just have to go with the crowd. You're up against. It's almost like like in a minor comparison, Rich, that you might understand. Being on a subway car during rush hour, when people are getting on that train and they want to get on that train,
back off.
They're pushing into you and you're moving and you have no control and you're trying to hold on to shit and you can't. Picture that with like thousands and thousands and thousands of people, which is why I'm not a big festival person. Like the only time I went to Coachella that one time, I had VIP passes. I like being amongst the regular crowd scares me.
Yeah, Travis Scott in the past, he's been arrested for inciting violence in big events. So that's all I want to talk about with that. To me, that's just a shitty story. I wanted to ask you.
Shitty stories.
I wanted to ask you.
I'm sure you talked about Ruggs and all the drama the Raiders dealt with over the past few weeks. Terrible, terrible stories there. One of our listeners passed away from a drunken driving incident. Like, lots of terrible stories, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, a couple quick things. I'm curious what you thought, because you talk about how people are quick to bail on people, right? Like, How do you feel about? I feel like there's something to be said about State Farm not dropping Aaron Rodgers. I sort of feel as though when in a world where people are so unloyal and shitty and so fair weather, even though I don't agree with Aaron Rodgers and he's a fucking sneaky liar, there is something to be said about State Farm not dropping him. It just sort of shows like, yo, we have a relationship. Does that make sense to you? Like, I don't like the whole cancel. I don't like the cancel the person in every aspect. Like Aaron Rodgers, we all agree, liar, sneaky, made the wrong choice. But you don't think there's something to be said about State Farm's integrity to say, like, listen, we're going to stand by him for now because we're not going to forget all he did for us over the last years. Is there something refreshing to you?
It's
where
refreshing,
it's not,
for sure, yeah.
It's refreshing only because it just shows that there are some people that are not about the quick cancel life. Where they're like, all right, we have a relationship with this guy. He made the wrong move, but we're not going to just jump on the bandwagon of fuck this guy. You see a lot of that, is what I'm saying. You see a lot of fuck that guy, fuck that woman when someone does something. I just found that you could say refreshing is the wrong word. I did. I sort of thought it was like, I sort of feel like State Farm has some loyalty. You could say that's wrong. To me, I think it sort of like shows their character that they're like, all right, we aren't going to just shit on this guy when everyone else is.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see. You know.
Now, we're to the whole first half hour or so was the whole conversation about race and, you know, just people being represented or underrepresented or overrepresented in TV, commercials, all this stuff. Before we talked about Spot moving to a cabin in the woods and living his life, the way we got there was I said, hey, guys, have you ever seen those videos where there's like a tribe that lives in the middle of like a jungle and they never deal with regular society until they see like a helicopter 30 years later and like, whoa, they think it's like a UFO? There's still tribes that live in the middle of nowhere. We know this, right?
Yes.
Now, if you were not influenced by adults, society, the news, all this stuff, I do have a racial question for you. When would that become something of note? Or would people just not look at people that way if we weren't taught that way? You know, they always say racism is taught. My daughter's 4. Emmy's 4. She's still at the age where she doesn't really see these things because she is just a kid. Like her favorite cartoons, or she loves The Last Dragon now. It's a little Asian girl. Her best friend in school is a little black boy, Armand. Like my daughter never one time was like, this guy looks different, or this cartoon. So I wonder at what point are we...
Did you say The Last Dragon?
The Last Dragon's a Disney movie.
No, it's not. It's an 80s
It's an 80s,
karate
yeah,
film.
it's an 80s karate film with
Hold on, then what is it called?
With Bruce Leroy.
Hold on. Disney.
I mean, clearly
Shown
these
up.
things are taught and figured out, Rich.
Oh, I'm sorry. Raya and the Last Dragon.
Oh, okay.
Raya and the Last Dragon. But what I'm saying is...
Show enough.
What I'm saying... Yeah, and
Who's the master?
my daughter also loves The Last Dragon.
She should. It's a fantastic film.
But, Covino, what I'm asking is, without outside influence, and you're just a kid being friends with a kid that's nice. Like, every day I go to pick Emmy up at school. She's playing with Armand, her little buddy. When she comes home, she chooses her cartoons based on what she likes, not like, oh, that's a little white girl or this or that. So,
well, that's what's sad about.
But when is a kid?
About
when
the
is
first
a,
hour,
I'm saying, when is a kid?
Because that's how I still view things. I never looked at anybody like they were better than me because of how they looked.
I'm not saying anyone's.
I never judge people that way. Unfortunately, people do.
I'm not saying you think that. I'm just saying, at what age does a daughter or a son? At what age does a child have even the concept of racism brought into their mindset, their scope? Because if they're so young and they're just like, they look at it like, I have blonde hair, they have black hair. That's different. My skin's a different color, but who cares? Like, if a little kid doesn't care.
Well, earlier, because we're teaching kids that they're different, and we're really focusing on the past in the school systems to explain and expose why they were treated different. You know, instead of treating people and kids equally the way they see themselves.
I just wonder.
We're forcing very young kids to think about their differences when they don't have to.
That's an interesting angle. We're the ones being like, hey, let's talk about race, and they're like, no, I just want to play with my friends that are all different.
Yeah, you know what they want to do? Embrace each other and hug each other because they don't see that shit and they don't care about it. But we want to push our adult ideals and teachings on these little kids that are way too emotionally immature to even want to deal with that because it's unimportant to them, especially in the world they're growing up in now.
So
they don't see that at all until, and that's the beauty of being a little kid. You have all these different little friends. That's why, I think we're all equal. You don't need to force that shit.
So let me bring
I think
up,
it happens.
7 or 8, someone said. So Alejandro thinks like 7 or 8. Yeah,
that's a good guess.
Like 7 or 8, you start like they overhear other adults or fucking someone saying some racist shit, or they'll see
some piece of shit. Yeah. Some piece of shit racist person will spew their old fucking racist ideals onto some kid and make him feel bad about himself.
So Aaron Rodgers, State Farm, racism. How about this fun headline? Let's mix up with something hilarious. Sexiest man alive, Paul Rudd. The wife of Paul Rudd is stupefied that
White
he
guys
won.
are winning again.
Stupefied. And you know what?
Stupefied.
What the fuck, man? Paul Rudd is lovable.
I disagree. Idris Elba's still the sexiest man alive.
Clueless. I love you, man. I mean, I think it's pretty funny because he really is a lovable, like, handsome rom-com guy. Is it a fun choice this year? I say yes. I like it. I like the fact that Paul Rudd is 2021 sexiest man alive.
I don't not like Paul Rudd. I'm okay with that. Whatever.
How old is he?
I'm surprised based on everything we talked about that he won though.
52? Is Paul? Am I right by that? I feel like I saw Paul Rudd 52. Is that possible?
Sounds right.
Look up Paul Rudd's age.
He's got that new movie out with Will Ferrell.
Seth Rogen put on Twitter, no arguments here. Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd
he's a super likable guy.
He's handsome.
What we know of him.
52.
Yeah. And by the way, look at a side-by-side of Paul Rudd now and like clueless Paul Rudd. They don't look much different. He's fucking aged gracefully, but because he's not Stamos or because he's not what's his face?
Rob
Lowe. We don't give him enough credit. Paul Rudd, ageless, sexiest man alive.
The ageless wonder, Paul Rudd.
Even your buddy Mark Ruffalo with his Buffalo put on Twitter, is that Paul Rudd, sexiest man alive? I knew this day would come. Congrats, man. I didn't know someone your age could hold this title. 52. God bless him. Look at that. Paul Rudd. Social media, at least having fun with it, opposed to arguing about dumb shit, right?
Well, unfortunately, that's what social media seems to be. A lot of negative. So
Paul Rudd's great. He's a regular guy.
My commentary today should reflect that. If none of it made sense, understand that that's where it's coming from. This show imitates life, and we want to have fun. I'd rather talk about fun things.
So Paul Rudd, congratulations.
There's a lot of negative in the news.
Congratulations.
So, Paul Rudd, that's a good story.
Now, this is not positive, but I got to ask you, what is the one thing? I know you're not George Bush Sr., who...
I don't want to be.
No new taxes. I know that you, unlike George Bush Sr., you probably know the price of a gallon of milk. Wasn't that what he got made fun of for? Because like he didn't know the common price of things that regular people know. Didn't Mitt Romney get accused of that as well? Not knowing what groceries...
Sarah Palin couldn't name a magazine. Yeah, I mean, you lose touch with reality.
Yeah, when people lose touch. I think it was George Bush Sr. or Mitt Romney or someone that... I think both of them maybe that were accused of not knowing like, yeah, how much is a gallon of milk? And they were both like, fuck if I know. You think I shop? Their answer was pretty much, fuck, you think I shop? I ask you, in a world of inflation where that's clearly a common denominator of everything from the gas station to the supermarket, what is the one thing where when you buy it at the store or supermarket, other than gas, where you're like, holy fuck, how expensive is this going to get? Because I have two examples.
Well, I'd rather hear yours because you do the shopping in your household. Jordan does the shopping in mine. So gas would be the number one observation for a guy like me.
Gas is here, regular gas, like the 89 or 87 octane. Octane, brother! It's like $4.69. It's Spot's right. The high test, as they used to call it, or premium, $5 or more in some places. But besides gasolina, rompe. Besides gasolina, the two things that stick out to me. Milk. Like the fucking gallon of like organic Horizon milk. You know that brand Horizon with the fucking cow on the front?
Fancy.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that's always an indicator
dude, the gallon of it is like fucking $8.99. I'm like, $8.99 for a gallon of milk? So every couple days I'm buying Ben essentially a fucking cocktail at an expensive bar. The other thing is probably near and dear to your heart and your corazon, should I say. Because what used to be a cheaper cut of meat that is delicious, many a times you call it skirt steak, but what it really is, carne asada. That used to be the cheapest.
Boneless flat meat?
That used to be one of the cheaper cuts of meat. A big piece of skirt steak now is like $15. Yo, skirt steak used to be like $4. That was the whole point of skirt steak. Like, yo, skirt steak is cheap and it's good. Skirt steak is now the price of fillets at the supermarket.
I wouldn't have known that.
No.
That's ridiculous.
Spot, have you noticed that? Because you're the shopper as well. Have you noticed in the world of inflation that
carne asada has skyrocketed?
Yeah, I feel like I even read an article about how what used to be the, let's go back to race. What used to be the cheaper ethnic cut of meat, like carne asada, was like considered a cheaper, lower budget meat cut. Skirt steak is now, no joke, like if you get the family size skirt steak that you throw on the grill, used to be like a $5 or $6 thing, and now it's like, yo, why is skirt steak like $20 a pound? It's crazy. Bacon off the charts right now.
How'd you bring race into that?
No, because because there was an article about how it used to be more of a lower budget cut of meat, and then white people started eating skirt steak.
Honestly, man, everything goes back to race and racism, and that
it's amazing.
It's so exhausting. So I'm so glad we got it out of the way today because it's like it's just everywhere. So carne asada, huh?
By the way, I did not dismiss inflation months ago. I'm just saying right now it's, if you read the news and read some of the write-ups on this, it's hitting a peak now, and it's only going to be getting worse, they're saying. Covino looking like he's feeling a lot better today.
I don't know about that. I just shaved.
Let's see.
I just shaved.
Can't complain
and I'm trying to
too
figure
much.
out what's next.
I have a question.
Next?
Can you, when people say you can't complain too much because you choose where you live, do you feel like everyone chooses where they live, or do you feel like that's inaccurate? Because can you really choose where you live? I guess you do, right?
I mean, I think we're all in control of our own destiny to some degree.
After a certain point, you can choose wherever you want to be.
Yeah, but
especially now more than ever. Yeah, I mean, if we got anything out of the pandemic, it's like you really don't have to be where you thought you had to be.
I mean, look, we're in 2 locations, but we could easily be in 3 locations right now and doing the same show.
Yeah, I agree. Still better where we're in the same place.
I agree, but that's.
But Spot, what I'm asking you is,
I'm on a mountaintop right now. Leave me alone.
What I'm asking you, buddy boy, is
you should paint a mountaintop in the background of your little setup.
No, you should paint the Price is Right guy going up the mountain.
No, make it look like what's like.
So I got my Yukon Cornelius patch. I can just.
He should have the background of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like that, like claymation looking background,
like something like that, something really woodsy
and wintry.
I would have to key myself out. I could probably do it. Where's the green screen?
When people say, "Wow, where you live is expensive," that's your fault. You chose to live there. I wonder if that's a sentiment we all agree with, or is it like, hey, or do you get to a point where you're like, yo, my family settled here. It really isn't my choice. Could you really just pick up and leave? I was born here. I'm gonna die here. That's what a lot of people say. I don't know. So inflation. I'd say meats, milks, and gas. There's something else I wanted to bring up today. Man, another terrible.
Well, good. I mean, because everything personally stinks. So keep it moving.
Is my window open, Spot? No. Oh. Hey, buddy.
Like on a personal note, like I'm still dealing with lawyers every day and accountants. It's like exhausting. I don't have the mental capacity to deal with certain things like that. I just need people to fix shit for me and leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Rich
No,
secretly.
like I'm dealing with child support issues, lawyers there handling money scenarios for me based on my pay decrease in the past few years, and Sirius XM overpayments. I'm the last guy at Sirius XM that's overpaid. Get your money from Howard.
Yeah.
Talk about being overpaid. And, I've got to deal with accountants and lawyers, still dealing with that shit. So, like, personally, I got so many things on my plate that are making my head spin that I can't help but fixate on whatever stupid shit you want to talk about.
Oh, good. Okay. What was I saying again? So, when you choose to live in a place, I just wonder how accountable you are to permanently be there. Like someone goes, Rich wants to live in Texas. I don't want to live in Texas now. I don't know what I would do in Texas. It sounds fun in theory, but if I could work from home.
I feel like all the writing's on the wall that you're going to live in Texas. That's how I feel often when I think about it.
Well, I mean, if nothing keeps me here longer term, then I don't even know if Texas would be the answer, but I don't know.
I feel like you got a magnet on your ass to Texas. Like you're going to be in Texas at the end of the month, like 3 times.
Yeah, but
you're always gravitating back toward Texas.
I just look at it like you want to be where your support is. You also want to be where you're wanted, and you also want to be in a comfortable place, but you also have to think about what's the most important thing, and that's supporting your family and hitting your potential. And I just think that if I go to Texas, then I pretty much locked in what I'm doing for the rest of my life, and that's a podcast from home and recording Sirius XM shit from home. And I just still think there's so much other stuff to do that you could argue could only possibly be done in LA or New York. So it's I don't think Texas is in the cards anytime soon because of that reason.
I think Rich Davis does what Rich Davis wants to do. At the end of the day, that's how I feel. Take it for what you will.
I mean, I guess I just don't see. I don't see like.
I don't think you're gonna factor us into it. I don't think you're gonna factor LA into it. I think you're gonna factor in whatever's best for Rich. That's how I feel.
I mean.
I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm just saying it seems pretty obvious, just based on how you operate now.
I just don't anticipate being able to get the opportunities I need to get anywhere except New York or LA.
Oh, but if you get them, I think you drop us like a cheap suit.
Ooh, like if I was like the new if I was the new main guy for the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely out for number one, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean you have a family to worry about. It just seems more obvious than ever that Rich does what Rich wants.
Rich does what Rich wants.
And like I said, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You got to look out for number one. If you're not looking out for number one, who is? I get that, but it's more evident than ever before that you do what you want at the beat of your own drum.
Ooh, I don't even know what that means. Let's see. Call Rod. Don't even know where he is in this picture. What does that mean? Oh, that's your dad. I don't know who Rod is. Let's see. I'm originally from Florida. Worst state to live in my opinion. Yeah, but there's no taxes in Florida. What if you live in Florida and you just don't have to pay state tax?
Not opposed. My goal is to...
Well, would you live in California if your daughter...
Yes.
...did not live there? Like if Melody was 17, 18 and she's like, Dad, I'm going to NYU for college. Are you fucking in California because you want to be here? Or are you in California because your daughter lives here and her mom ain't moving?
I have no interest in living on the East Coast again. I don't think ever.
I agree with you.
I do have a goal of living somewhat comfortably like I'm living now, but just want to take it one step further as far as level of comfort and the feeling of success, and then have like a little investment property like our buddy Sean Wyman, who's living the dream right now. Just a little investment property, a little getaway, nothing crazy, nothing extravagant. You know, I think we all got to keep our goals in check.
Cubs fan said, doesn't everyone beat to their own drum? You do, Covino. Spot does. That's a bold statement.
It's not a bold statement. I don't just pick up and do what I want all the time.
Let's see.
I just don't.
By that logic, can you go around? Would you buy a big house somewhere? See, that's the thing. I think these are all great things in theory, right? They're all great things in theory. Let me go live somewhere cheaper, get more for my dollar. But I just don't think that those people are happier long-term. Like, it goes back to Spot living on a mountain. I think that's a great theory if it's a summer or like a rental. Like if Spot had a place in the woods and twice a month he went up there on the weekend to sip some bourbon and sit by a fire, he'd love it. But when you do that every day, it's got to be something you're pretty sure that you'd want to live that lifestyle. You might say, you know what I'm going to fucking live on the beach. You might say, dude, Covino, you're going to move to Santa Monica or Venice and just live in a 1-bedroom, you know, downsized size, but live like on the beach. That sounds great in theory, but after a while you might be like, do I really want to live on the beach? I think it's one of those things that people love to say, but they don't do.
The thing is, if you don't figure it out sooner than later, you know, life passes right before your eyes, and you know, you're wondering how to maintain your rough patch on the bottom of your ass crack.
It's true.
You know, and you're getting old and your kids are growing right before your eyes, and next thing you know, you wasted all that time. And that's how I feel most of the time.
Yeah. I feel like you've had a lot of reflective time. A lot of Steve Covino reflection, staring at staring at a big-headed fucking dude next to you in a hospital.
Yeah.
Now,
biggest head I've ever seen.
You know what? It's really funny you would bring this up because it all sort of ties together. You know, I have one more quick little headline. Then we could wrap the show on a really interesting thought that I think we could all dive into. Tom Brady said the 17th game of the schedule is stupid. And I love that Tom Brady's like, yeah, like there was nothing wrong with 16 games. It was perfect. Why are we fucking doing one extra game?
Tom Brady.
He also said the changing of the numbers for no reason was stupid, and I agreed with him.
Yeah, Tom Brady's sort of like, yeah, we got this great system. Why are we fiddling with it? Like, yeah, maybe a little rule change here or there, but the numbers, stupid. An extra game, stupid. You know, for the fans, though, I will say the extra playoff team and the extra playoff weekend, how do you argue that? There might be a 3-day playoff weekend, week one, because you got those extra playoff teams. 2 extra teams make the playoffs this year. So Tom Brady said the 17th game is stupid. Now, Dalvin Cook is in trouble. And I don't want to get into a whole debate about this, but I just want to say one thing. If Dalvin Cook is roughing up a woman.
Oh boy.
Jesus.
And hold on. And we're okay saying, fuck you, John Gruden, for insensitive emails. And we're okay to say, fuck you, Aaron Rodgers, for being a little sneaky pants with the vaccine. We better have the same fucking reaction to a guy that there's pictures of a fucking woman that was beat up. I mean,
but we don't.
But we'd have to, Covino. You can't be like, fuck you, Aaron Rodgers. Fuck you, John Gruden. Fuck you, this person. Fuck you, people that have done sort of dumb things.
You know, man, like, I think we all need some sort of soul cleansing. And hearing stories like this it just makes me sick to my stomach that we have all these double standards and this hypocrisy. And when I get out of this fog, I'm telling you, I am committed to being happy. And I'm not going to let anyone get in the way of my fucking happiness and just trying to be a good person, because I hear all this bullshit.
He's saying,
and all I hear are pieces of shit everywhere.
He's saying he's the victim of the domestic violence from the woman, but she's all...
Let's all be better people.
Yeah, she's all messed up. So I just wonder that if it proves that he did some shady, fucking terrible things, I just hope society's reaction is the same as a guy that wrote rude emails and a guy that was sneaky about a vaccine. I hope we don't think it's worse to be sneaky about a vaccine than it is to fucking rough up a woman. I hope we don't think as a society calling someone a gayist or racist name in an email is worse than hitting a woman. I really hope that
we're always just looking for the next headline.
I know.
That's really it. Yeah. So it's not fair to compare them, but we should treat things
and the story will come out if he's innocent and his ex is a crazy person and she broke into his home and there's a lot of fucking crazy things. But I'm just saying, if we're so quick to snap to the judgment on anyone, let's snap to the judgment on everybody then, right?
Or let's just all try to be better people.
Yeah, that's a better answer.
That's going to be my goal when I get this chip off my shoulder.
So last night I watched
Lead with a smile, lead with some kindness, and then let's not take everything so serious. And we focus so much on this negative shit, on this news, man. News is terrible. The news is toxic. It's terrible. Like, I honestly debate thinking about quitting fucking social media too, because it's toxic. Toxic. Terrible.
You know what? There's toxic things in everyone's life, right? I'll tell you what's toxic in my in-laws' life. The news. That's their social media. The news. They watch what the same. What you would say is toxic for a 20, 30 year thing. Yeah, what's toxic for a 20 to 30-year-old, 40-year-old maybe? Scrolling through social media, arguing with people and seeing dummies. You know what's toxic for a 60 or 70-year-old? Watching the fucking nightly news every night and then turning on Fox or CNN and being like, yeah, like that's fucking they're toxic. Yeah. Check out everyone's toxic by something, and not to be all negative, Tate, but geez, you're right. It's
just a sign of the times, Rich. It's a little bit of everything. I think we're all feeling it and experiencing it. I'm just harping on it because of what I dealt with recently, but everybody knows it.
We said it a year ago. Remember when COVID all first started? We were like, well, what's the fucking aftermath of all this?
You living in a mountain.
Are we seeing? You even talked about the aftermath, inflation. People living wherever they want to live. All the different things going on. Is it fair to say? I like your new background spot. That is very cool.
Look at this.
Hey, Yukon Cornelia.
Yeah, it's way better.
That's great.
I like that.
That's great, Spot. Merry Christmas.
That's
cool.
That's the best thing I've seen all day.
Yeah.
Great.
Spot's got a new background. Don't change it. That's
I don't want to see. Look at this.
Look at you.
No, it's pathetic. It's so sad that has brought me the most joy all day today.
You'll get out of your funk. Taxes. That's what. Yeah, but. Covino, we've talked about it during the last year. Like, what's the aftermath of COVID? Could it be that everyone's just a little more fucking jaded and shitty?
Yeah. I think we all lost the grip in society. And it shows. It shows in everything that we deal with as a society, as Americans, as a community. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
I think we all lost focus on everything, man. On everything. I feel just in life, I feel so unorganized and like we're all piecing our lives together.
Well, you're piecing your life together because you now have three employers that are making up your life.
It's true.
He has a Syria.
And we're relatively successful in the grand scheme of things.
He has a Syria.
The rest of the country feel about it?
He has Sirius XM, Fox, and you guys are patrons.
I have 4 employers. Wow.
Yeah, but
you know what? Up until like 3 or 6 months ago, I had 5 employers.
But what I'm saying is everyone's hustling and piecing their life together and working and doing everything. I'm just saying
it's not a comfortable feeling for anybody.
People have become a bit more jaded and shitty over the last year and a half. Life seemed a hell of a lot. All right, think about, man. Now I'm falling into the fucking now I'm falling into the shitty trap of like, oh, remember when? What I'm saying is, in 2019 and prior, wasn't the world a hell of a lot more positive before COVID? Before fucking that shitbag cop choked out George Floyd, before everything, I feel like the last year and a half has fucking the fighting, the negativity, the rudeness, everything is just elevated.
100%. 100%.
Like you flash back to like 2018, we were like, "Yo, what's up, everybody? Woohoo!" Like I don't know.
Ignorance was bliss.
Yeah.
But like, it's not necessarily a good thing.
But still, I know.
But it's almost like we were all happy living in our little comas.
I had no problem.
For the most part.
I had no problem
people
driving.
have their struggles.
Yo, I had no problem driving
life
to.
happens.
I had no problem driving to work every morning, getting to the studio, being like, "Yeah, what's up, guys?" And then, I don't know, just life is so different for everyone.
Like, think about us in the 90s. Like things just seemed like so simple.
I'm with Amki. The minute Kobe Bryant died, the world went weird. Kobe Bryant never got to see the fucking terrible world. Poor Kobe.
It's a good
timestamp,
and there's a lot of truth to that timestamp. Nothing has been the same since.
We went to the Super Bowl.
Repercussions.
We went to the Super Bowl. We partied in South Beach. We ate at outdoor restaurants on the beach. We were talking to random people, having fun. You, me, Spot, Sean Wyman, Janelle. That was like the most amazing trip. And then
lost a lot of our innocence. Lost a lot of our as a society. Not forget it as people. As people especially. We were
butt cheeks
living out long-term, life-term career goals, having fun, and it swept it took the country by surprise. Not just us, but we're the ones talking right now, so it's going to show.
I'm sure it's a very easy thing to do, but to go back, I'm curious come
to my mountain retreat.
I'm curious to see what the news reports looked like in February of 2020 for real. And I only say that because on the show, the morning show that I always rave about, that you'll watch one day, it plays out in real time, but essentially a year behind Spot because of just filming stuff, right? But right now they're sort of up to the part where it's like, oh, there's an outbreak in Italy, but all the people on the morning show are like, yeah, bury the COVID story. No one cares because
kind of like me when it first started.
Yeah,
like,
when coronavirus started, Spot's like, fucking ignore it. Lame. This will pass. Whatever. Nonsense. I have a video on my phone from ESPN. I'm calling Spot and I'm like, hey, Spot, Tom Hanks has COVID. Do you believe it now? And Spot's like, nope, still don't care. Like, remember that?
Did anyone think it was going to be this big? Did anyone think?
No, but I didn't think it would be life-changing where fucking everything
We're still
changed.
Still talking about it. So much time is flying right by us.
It affected our show. It affected our show, our health, friendships, everything. Life, seeing people.
You know where we're not talking about it? Up here at the North Pole.
Where you're only...
where I am.
You know what's fun?
Where I've moved.
You know what's fun?
Ain't that right, guy? What's his name again? I forget his name.
I forget.
That's not Frosty. That's
the
narrator, right?
Yeah. Ain't that right?
That's funny, Spot.
No COVID here, right?
Brings me joy.
Ain't that right, Yukon?
Sam the Snowman.
Ain't that right, Sam the Snowman?
Voiced by Burl Ives.
Burl Ives, yeah.
Yeah. Sam the Snowman. It'll just be 2 weeks, they said. We'll be back to work in no time. Yo, I don't want, this is a fucking...
Why did it take me so long to do this?
This is whack conversation, but it is weird to think like we left our jobs being like, all right, I'll see you in 2 weeks and never went back to any of the employers. On Friday, March 13th, we were like, all right, cool. We'll be back in like a week or so. And that was like almost 2 years ago. And it was like, we never went back to either place.
And we're just, small examples of the rest of the world.
Exactly.
Now I got little robots in my living room feeding me oxygen. So,
did you name it yet?
You got to name it.
Why don't you name it one of the backup names you have for a kid? Because like Junio or Gaston or something.
No, something cool like O2, like R2D2, like O2D2. Because it's oxygen. O2D2.
All right. That's it.
O2D2.
O2D2. All right, I have one more deep thought on my notes of Insane Man Scribbles. I watched a few episodes of a show last night. And Spot, I am going to watch Yellowstone, but I want to be in the right mindset for it. I want to dive in.
Like wear cowboy boots? You should start it in Texas.
No, I am. That's what I figure when I'm in Texas.
I mean, it takes place in Montana, but you should start it in Texas.
When I'm in Texas Thanksgiving week, I think that's a great time to be like, Mike, my father-in-law, let's watch Yellowstone. Because he might be like, oh, Rich, that's a great idea. So I will watch Yellowstone, Spot. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring that because everyone talks about it so much that I know it's going to be great.
Yeah, you just have to, once you accept the fact that it's like a grown man's soap opera,
I love that shit
You'll
because I
love it.
love grown women soap operas.
Like,
I love Scandal.
You're gonna like get so deep with all the characters. You're gonna like start questioning: is Beth hot like everyone else?
I loved Morning Show. I loved Ted Lasso. There's a lot of great shows out right now. I thought more about Dexter episode 1, and I was hard on it because it was slow. But then I realized it was almost a 10-year gap. They needed to build up, so I'm not going to judge it. But it just didn't have the fucking fast pace of other shows. But it'll get there. Watch it outside while you're sitting on a wagon wheel or horse.
No, you got to comb your hair with a wagon wheel while you're watching it.
Covino, I watched a show that I don't expect you to watch, so don't even give me this whole like, yo, I'm not going to watch your corny Backstrom show.
I mean, I got plenty of time. I'm still not even dealing with my own kid yet. You know, like I probably won't have Melody until Thanksgiving break because her mom's got it under control, at least for now. I don't have the energy, you know, and I don't want to put her in any sort of jeopardizing scenario either. I got robots here.
Melody, be careful.
O2D2.
O2D2. Well, you have a new kid now. Melody, you have a new brother.
O2.
Poor kid. I haven't seen my daughter in a fucking month.
Are you at least utilizing FaceTime or no?
Maybe 3 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. So I watched a show per the recommendation of I feel like this is a show, Spot, our listeners that while they are very macho men, the guys that are into like the more sensitive shows.
Drew Mack.
Like the Drew Macks and the Magic Wills of the world.
Yeah.
Like the guys that have a soft spot for those like heartfelt type of shows. Someone said, yo, Rich, have you checked out Ordinary Joe on NBC?
I've heard about that.
And
Ordinary what?
Ordinary Joe. And I said, you know what?
Like what you're drinking in that cup there.
Well, Ordinary Joe.
A little cup of Ordinary Joe.
By the way, Spot, I got to give you a high five on one thing.
My background?
No, not only your background, but something
really cool.
something I would never have done in my life unless Spot encouraged it. And now it just seems so simple and so great. Grinding your own coffee beans. Like it's so simple. Honestly,
so
Spot,
simple.
The setting you have it on now, I don't even need to measure the coffee because one press of the button is the exact amount for the 8 cups of coffee. So, and it totally doesn't limit you to fucking ground coffee at the supermarket or online or anywhere.
You're getting fresh ground coffee. You're getting robust caffeine.
So anyway, thank you for that.
I'm so mad at Spot for like not changing that background sooner.
It's so high. What the fuck took me so long?
He liked the fucking stained wall.
I was
what
like,
the fuck was that? It was that easy for you, and you were content looking like shit like that for the past 2 months.
Because I assumed every day that like the wall would be ready. And
now I'm assuming. Now I'm assuming. Should you just keep a green screen permanently?
I might. Yeah, I might.
So much better.
Like what? I mean, what? We're gonna put soundproofing behind you? Like, why not just keep your little green blanket up like you have now?
I could be anywhere.
You could be seasonal Spot when it's Valentine's Day. When it's February, you can have little hearts behind you. Like you could be our seasonal boy.
I could be anywhere I want to be. Maybe this is my way of satisfying my need to live on a mountaintop.
Yeah, Spot. You don't need to move to a mountaintop. Just get a good mountain behind you.
I'm just going to change my background.
Man, Spot, you're really living the life up there, huh?
Just got to work on my... I mean, this is... It's just
I feel like it was one of those, you had 2 pairs of gloves this whole time.
Right?
Like, we are in the Rockies.
You could have done that the whole time.
I don't know
didn't.
why I didn't think of this.
There's a town a mile up that way. No, what Spot needs, Covino, an ice fishing kit, like as a prop. Like he needs a fishing rod.
Sam, I'm so sorry that it took this long.
Yeah, like, I can't believe it took that long just to
Got to work on
bring that little bit of heat you brought, and it adds so much.
Our boy Eric said he wants to be a fly on the wall when I'm watching Yellowstone with my father-in-law in Texas. Well, I'm going to watch that, but let me tell you about this show.
Right. Average Joe or Cup of Joe.
I keep calling it Average Joe. So see, look, it must be a mind thing. Ordinary Joe.
Ordinary Joe. Grocery store Joe.
So I don't know if I've become, I don't know when maybe over the last month, I've become fucking not only advanced Pilate, but all of a sudden I'm like a thespian critic. Like recently, my big criticism of certain shows was like, well, the acting isn't great. And I've never been that guy. I love cheesy shit. But I said that about that Love Hard movie on Netflix. I remember I said like the acting and writing just stunk. This show, Ordinary Joe, has all the makings of a fucking hit. Like This Is Us or something with heart that's well written, but it's just missing.
You put it in the same sentence as This Is Us?
No, Spot.
What network is it on?
NBC, which is good for these hour-long dramas. They've pretty much nailed it. Good. Nowhere near a This Is Us or one of these great dramas. What is that?
What's the diversity like? What's the fat?
You don't think This Is Us is a great drama? It's a fucking.
I saw the comment from Daniel Javier Fitz. He said, "Rich is a lesbian." Because you said thespian.
I was waiting for one idiot to do the thespian lesbian thing. Thespian. Didn't the drama? You know what's so funny? The drama club in my high school. I was there when they renamed it the drama club. Up until like the early '90s, it was called the Thespian Guild. That's even worse. I remember being like, "What the fuck is the Thespian Guild?" Do you mean the? And then they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna rename it the Drama Club. It's 1990 something now." I'm like, "Yo, so people that were acting were like, I'm in the Thespian Guild? Fucking lamest." So, Ordinary Joe. Spot, I would like to think you won't get flagged for this, but showing Covino the trailer.
NBC's the worst. But I'll try.
And it's worth just watching the trailer because here's the concept, Covino. The concept, you know how sometimes we've talked about how TV shows or movies have the greatest concept, but sometimes they lack the execution, and that's the bummer where you're like, oh, the idea is so good. Like, oh, it's like some time travel thing. You're like, oh, why'd they fucking involve this? That's ruined it.
Right.
This is such an amazing concept that I just think I'm 3 episodes in. Maybe they'll start executing it a little better, but there's a guy, and I don't like it because of this. He's a Long Island guy, and it's his college graduation, coincidentally, in Syracuse, New York. Syracuse. He's class of 2011, so he's 10 years younger than us. He bumps into a hot girl at his graduation. And from that point, after his graduation ceremony, he has 3 choices: to go on a date with this hot girl he bumped into, to go away for the weekend with like his high school, college sweetheart, who he's sort of like dwindling with, or go back home to see his parents. And what the show does is it shows the life that would have happened if he took these 3 paths. So it hops from timeline to timeline where, you know how a lot of times in your life you, pause it, Spot. You know, a lot of times you second guess, oh, what if we talked about this so much recently because, I don't know, we're all going through midlife crises.
It's like, it's sliding doors.
It's sliding doors. I get it, Spot. Yeah.
The TV show.
But it's like, if he ends up with the adventurous fucking hot girl, he pursues his music career and he becomes a fucking rock star. If he stays with his high school sweetheart, he becomes like an ER nurse and he has a kid. If he goes back to stay with his folks, he ends up becoming a cop because his dad died on 9/11 and he follows his dad's footsteps. And they flash from life to life and like, yo, here's the 3 lives this guy could have lived if he made a different decision that day. Does he go on a date with the hot chick? Does he go away with his college sweetheart? Or does he say, fuck it, and just go back to see his folks?
It's Family Man, the TV show.
Yeah, it's like Family Man, Sliding Doors, the TV show. Just take a look at the trailer. I hope it doesn't fucking peg us, but peg us. I hope it does peg us.
I hope it does.
Yeah, take a look at the trailer, Covino, and tell me what you think. You're going to say it's probably cheesy, but the concept's cool. Go ahead.
It's only natural to wonder, what if?
My background.
Sorry, this is yours. I'm Joe.
I'm Amy. And what is it that you want to do?
I'm gonna be the next Billy Joel. Guy can dream, right? What if I asked out that girl I just met? I love you, Amy.
I love you, Joe. Kill it.
It's good to be home!
It's freaking Juilliard. You're like my superhero for getting in. Come to the beach. I need to tell you something.
Run like
What if I married my best friend?
Sorry, we had 3 code blues and the hospital was short-staffed.
Can you believe we made him?
At least we did one thing right.
Joey, come on, we gotta go.
What if I followed in my father's footsteps?
Officer Joe Kimbrough was a true hero.
I'm proud of you. Your dad would be proud of you, too.
What if you could see the roads you didn't take?
Don't look back.
Pretty good. You can stop it there. I feel like you're going to be like, yeah, bro, it's a little cheesy for me.
And let
but
me guess, the lives that seem great aren't necessarily great.
all the lives, Spot, have their pros and cons. Like, not one life is the good life. Like, all the lives have their obstacles and their benefits. Like, he's a dad, but then in the other life, he's a fucking rock star. In the other life, he's a proud cop that like save someone. It's a pretty cool show. Like I said, I feel like the concept's better than the show. What's your thought, Covino, just from watching the trailer?
I saw a lot of white people. That was my observation.
See, there you go. All right, full circle.
Maybe we do need more diversity after all. That's what I noticed.
That was your one. That was your.
The show is good, man.
The show
Look,
is made.
I'm not. I told you my mission statement after dealing with all this shit and after everything we've discussed in the past few days is just to try to stay positive. If that's what brings people joy and it's a fun show, I'll check it out if I have the time.
Like I said, I'll keep.
It looks cool. I like the concept.
I'll keep watching it, and if it's good, I'll give you the heads up to like, maybe you want to watch it. Like I watched the first couple episodes of La Brea, and I didn't really bring it up to you guys because I don't think it's worth watching. You know the point of that one, La Brea?
No, but I've seen ads for it.
It takes place across the street from the old SiriusXM building. You see the building. A huge fucking sinkhole opens up. All these people fall and die, but they don't die. They go to some fucking other world.
The La Brea Tar Pits.
Yeah, they go to like fucking dinosaur days, and they're living in the La Brea Tar Pits back in the day. And it's like, it's stupid, sort of. That's why I didn't really promote it. But I watch these shows to see what's up, And
we all need fun distractions. We can't all just get up and leave to the mountaintop, So if this is what helps, at the end of the day,
come join me.
I do get that.
Come join me on my mountaintop.
There you go, Spot.
Yeah.
Sam, is there room for more?
Yeah, La Brea does look like Garbaggio. Okay. It was filmed in Australia.
Coming up.
La Brea, again, the concept is cool, but it gets all weird. You understood what I was saying, Covino, right? Like a sinkhole opens and everyone thinks all these like hundreds of people died, but all these people wake up and they're like, where are we? They're in Los Angeles, but like thousands of years ago. Does that make any sense to you? So they're like, can we communicate with the future? I don't know. It lost me.
Well, thank you guys for all your support. Thanks for hearing us out today. I think we posed a bunch of challenging questions today. If you could be anywhere you want, where would it be? And why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
Or at least providing some sort of balance with that.
I'm fascinated that you think I'm destined for Texas when I feel like that's almost...
It's so fucking obvious. You have a magnet on your ass that pulls you there every fucking few weeks. If not, your family's there. You're absolutely destined to be in Texas. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Whew. I just thought,
I think that we need to find our happy place. I think we all need to figure out, well, what brings us joy, and let's go for it. Everybody. I'm not sure what that is for our show, but I hope we can get to a common ground and figure it out and get back into a winning attitude again, because the cut and paste feeling of life sucks. And, let's all figure that out together. And our differences here on this show is what makes us great. I respect the diversity. And I think that's always what has been the driving force of this show. Different perspectives and different people. But for me, that's always been equality and equal, no one better than anybody. So that's why it drives me crazy when the pendulum shifts so hard just to make a point. So let's find a good common ground. Let's get back to normal. Let's try to find our fucking smile and our fun again.
Yeah.
And, I'm preaching to the choir, of course, but I'm not the only one dealing with all these negative surroundings and thoughts and this toxic news that we discussed. And if these silly shows that Rich wants to talk about brings people joy, fuck it. Let's give it a shot. Let's have some fun. And I don't know, let's start getting on the right track.
Joy.
I think that's a great note to end on. We will see everyone tomorrow.
What's on the agenda tonight? Like today's Wednesday. We're halfway there. Hopefully be back in studio next week with Rich. That's my goal. Start getting back into a normal routine. And What's tonight? Wednesday night? Anything good? Any games? There's no games.
Nothing. I mean, NBA's back in action, but that's not something you look forward to. I mean, that's sort of just like background TV, or you watch a highlight. You know, no one's like, "Oh, Lakers Nuggets tonight." That's not. You know, no one. Like football tomorrow is
You said Nuggets.
I said Nuggets. What's football tomorrow looking like? Yeah,
I
knew it was a stinker.
Food brings me joy. I think I want a nice dinner tonight.
I knew it was a stinker. Ravens at Dolphins. However, Ravens are only favored by 7.5. Maybe that's a game to bet. But hey, enjoy your foosball tomorrow. Enjoy whatever you're watching tonight. Maybe watch Ordinary Joe episode 1. And then
Ordinary Joe, check it out. Whatever you're doing, and thank you guys again for at least trying to hear us out. And art imitates life. You know, this show is going to reflect the overall feelings of what I'm going through, what the world's going through. And, you know, we'll get past it. And I want to focus on the fun. Today had a little bit of a serious tone in the beginning, but think about 95% of what we do on this show. We're the worldwide leaders of nonsense. So if we have a few serious moments here and there, it's because it's, it's just a long buildup of feelings and observations. But you know what we do. And 95% of the time, it's fun. So thank you guys for being part of that with us. And thanks again for all the feedback. It's good to be getting back slowly but surely.
As I look at our subscriber count, I'm like, all right, we're in the same ballpark we've always been in. I just like you said, what's the future? Is it this and something else? Is it this forever? Is Spot living on a set with Christmas trees for the next 10 years? Who knows?
It really that concerns me a lot. You know, it really does.
Yeah, but you know what? You can't let those type of things overtake your concerns, because life is fragile. Could be ripped away from you in a second. You're going to be an old guy, and you're going to look back, and I can promise you'll probably say, man, why did I waste so much time worrying about blank? That's probably
because lawyers and accountants want me to worry about these things. That's why.
Yeah, true. I know. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. Most people listening right now probably have things that they worry about, things they overthink. We all overthink as a people. That's what everyone does. People love to overthink, and they stress out about, their house, their mortgage, their car, their kids, their life, everything. And then when everything's good at the end of the day, unless you're struggling to put a meal on the table or you're struggling to keep the lights on, the reality is all these things you're wasting your energy and anger and worry on. That you really are.
True.
You really are.
True.
I mean, Covino, if your bank account said $18 in it, then I'd say, fuck, time to worry. You have a beautiful condo, beautiful girlfriend, healthy kid. Life threw you some curveballs over the last year and a half, but you are still up here in the big scope of how people are doing in this country.
Gabagool.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like,
100%.
again, Spot said it yesterday. Everyone's got their own issues and own problems, and you can't downplay. Like, you can't be like, just because you're okay doesn't mean you can't complain. I'm just saying, in the big picture, to worry yourself about stupid accountants and lawyers and ex-wives and this and that. The reality is, you fucking got through COVID, you got through job shit, you got through a lot of stuff, and you should be happy. In the big picture, you should be happy. I know it's hard in the moments, but in the big picture, you're A-okay compared to the guy who has $12 in his account and his landlord's like,
this guy lost $6 already.
Yeah. What about the guy that he lost $6 already?
Just had $18.
Then he has 12. What about the guy whose landlord's like, if you don't get me the check by Friday, you're fucking out of here. And the guy's like, how am I going to get my rent by Friday? Like, imagine if you were dealing with that type of shit. Imagine if you were the fucking sad people.
You ever suck dick for money?
You ever suck dick for money?
No, but...
Oh, you do it for free?
But I have for free. You suck dick for free.
He sucks dick for free.
That's funny.
You can end on that note.
Okay.
Suck a dick, everybody. Suck a duck.
Suck a duck. Suck a duck, as my autocorrect does every time. I never want to say duck, iPhone. I never want to say duck.
Suck a duck.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Arrivederci, baby.
See you on Turbo. See you in the promised land.
Goodbye.
See you from the mountaintop.
Bye.